What's up, Facts family? How y'all doing? Y'all let me know if I'm sounding good in the mic and the sound of the volume. But pardon me. Welcome to the latest episode of Lost Tapes, episode 72, Duke Power. I see we got some Blue Devil fans in the house tonight. But let me make sure I speak to all the Facts family. Let me go up to the top. Who was first? 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 Okay, it was my man Blacklight. What's up, Rob? Was up in here early. And then Primordial Soup, A Dimes, Ned, what's up? Chaz, Anthony, Eric P. Hold on, let me put my reading. Y'all, I had to get some reading glasses. Y'all pray for my eyes. What? This is why I never wore them. I could never find them. They'll pop up eventually. Hold on, I know where they at. Your boy been squinting. Where I stop at Anthony. Okay, Eric P, Judy S, Greg E, Alicio, Scam Bader, Ben E, Mike McCoy, what's up? Tyler B. I know Andre got to be in here. I just saw Judy S, Sean M, how you doing? Tiger Auntie. Y'all blame Tiger Auntie for me being late. Nah, I'm messing with you. I had to go make coffee. That's why I'm late. But hold on, see. Judy S, Chris Goss, Daniel Pagan, Ben E, Shazier, how you doing? Let me just make sure I got to everybody. Joy A, Miguel, how you doing? I don't remember speaking to you, so I want to make sure I get back to you. Derek 405, what's up, bro? Mario, man, y'all in here heavy tonight. Dan Glenn, Samuel Samuel Smock, excuse me. Lindsay H. I think I'm called up. Sean M. Oh, the volume's a bit low? Okay. I didn't want to blow y'all out like I did last time, so I'm going to come up a little bit. Y'all let me know if that's loud or not. I was so embarrassed by the sound in those two consecutive shows. So I'm very okay, got a new addition to the channel. What's up, OBGYN? BZ, what's up? Y'all make sure I'm sounding good? Sounds good to you? Okay. Because because we going in, I'm apologize. We off schedule. We're supposed to go live last night. I was all ready to go. And then the YouTube suggestion drop kicked me 300 style down a rabbit hole. Okay, sounds good and clear. I just want to make sure it's not too loud. I got a big mouth, so pause. All right, sounds Gucci. All right, so here we go. So I got drop kicked down 300 style down the rabbit hole, and I had to go back and redo the whole show. So I got a whole nother show that's laying in the cut somewhere that we might have to revisit at another time. But man, I know y'all like, well, let's get to getting. All right, so we about to get to getting. Let's see. Yeah, them YouTube rabbit holes are dangerous, Eric P. So without further ado, I got a full bag. I think I spoke to everybody. I gave even the late people an extra 5 minutes to get their butts in here. We about to get on. Y'all ready to go on this rabbit hole? All right, so where we left off last was Duke Lacrosse. This is from Bleacher Report, Duke Lacrosse. Kristen Mangum indicted for first-degree murder. And this is the last clip that we heard from episode 72 of Moe Factz with Adam Curry.
Well, the woman who was at the center of the false rape allegations that were brought against 3 Duke University athletes may now be facing a murder charge. Earlier this month, the police arrested Crystal Mangum for stabbing her boyfriend in
It's Mangum, not Magnum.
the kitchen with a knife. Now we've learned that that victim has died in that case. Prosecutors say that they will likely charge Mangum with murder. Back in 2006, as you may remember, this story went on for months and months. She accused 3 Duke lacrosse players of raping her at an off-campus party. Those charges were later shown to be false, and the charges against those 3 men were dropped.
Okay, so that's where we left off at. And it says here, Mangum has been jailed since April 3rd. She was initially charged with assault. She was initially charged with assault with a deadly weapon and the stabbing of 46-year-old Reginald Day. He died after nearly 2 weeks at the hospital. This is gonna be key. Y'all tuck that away and y'all tuck that away in y'all's cap for later. But where are we at? Let me make sure. Y'all remind me if I go over an article, I'm making a habit of it now of posting the link in the live chat. So if you're listening to this on playback, the link from this article has been posted in the live chat just so you all can look into the things as you see fit later down the line. So there we have it. So I have forgot about this case for a long time. I mean, right after, as we always do, these things come and go. But what reminded me of it was this was called Fatal Attraction, but you've seen it like Snapped. And they do this weird thing where they make it cute where women murder women and men. So it's weird. But yeah, it's weird that they do that. So this one's called Fatal Attraction. So we're gonna go through the breakdown of what happened according to Fatal Attraction. This is the murder reenactment shows that they have on ID, Lifetime, and you're saying shows like that. So let's go into get to the first part of this episode. Fair use.
He was a middle-aged man looking for Ms. Wright.
He was a great person. You can ask anybody.
She was a single mother searching for a fresh start.
Just trying to make a living for herself and for her children.
From the moment these 2 lonely hearts met, sparks flew.
He said it was just like love at first sight.
But just when their steamy love affair seemed destined for new heights,
He was starting to talk about marriage.
Red flag right there. Red flag. Anytime your audio is still a little lower than the clip volume. Okay, I'm glad to hear that I'm lower because normally I'll blow y'all out. So let me come up a little bit more on the mic and hopefully it'll play out, okay? Y'all give me some feedback because I want to make sure we get this dialed in while we're going, all right? I appreciate that, Ben E. All right, let me take this back to the beginning then. All right, here we go.
he was a middle-aged man looking for Ms. Wright.
He was a great person. You can ask anybody.
She was a single mother searching for a fresh start.
Just trying to make a living for herself and for her children.
From the moment these 2 lonely hearts met, sparks flew.
He said it was just like love at first sight.
But just when their steamy love affair seemed destined for new heights,
He was starting to talk about marriage.
a shocking
Steamy. Red flag on steamy. I like my situations a nice, lukewarm, a nice, warm, drinkable temperature. I don't need it steamy. Steamy is always a problem. I appreciate all the feedback on the sound too. All right, but yeah, steamy, no. This is how you end up not making light of the man's death, but this is how you end up in situations like this, looking for that steamy situation. But let's continue.
crime would bring their lives crashing back down.
There's blood everywhere. It's just really a gruesome, gruesome scene.
But who was behind this vicious crime? A desperate search for the assailant unearths a scandal from the past. and proves one of these starry-eyed lovers wasn't who they claimed to be.
I call it the scarlet letter that she wears that'll always haunt her.
The scarlet letter. Yeah, Judy, it's nice, lukewarm, comfortable drinking temperature. I don't need the steamy and the hot and the boiling and all that. I'm good. But we got a lot of clips we got to get through, so we got the whole setup of this episode of Fatal Attraction. And I think somebody said that these shows are cringy in the sense that that one, the acting is terrible, but they're on a budget. I get that part of it. But my problem with these shows is how they trivialize the murder by women. I always find like Snap, they always have like Snapped and Fatal Attraction. Like when it's a dude killing a woman, as it should be, it's frowned upon, but they make it kind of cute when they do it in this situation. Let's go ahead and get to the number 2.
April 3rd, 2011, 2:30 a.m. It's a warm spring morning in the college town of Durham, North Carolina. But at an apartment complex on the south side of the city, trouble is brewing. It starts when resident Carlos Wilson is jolted awake by someone knocking on his sliding glass door.
Carlos!
Peering outside, he sees his neighbor and beloved uncle, 46-year-old Reginald Day.
Reginald was at the door. I open it and immediately I see him bleeding and gasping for air.
Oh, man. She got me, Carlos. She got me. Now, I'm making fun of the acting, not the brutal situation that just happened here. But yeah, I mean, like, this is how Bull City get down. For the people that know, you know what I'm saying? Hey, this is how the Bull City can get down real quick. So it's terrible to say. It's terrible to say, but hey, this is not surprising at all. But let's continue on. She got me.
Oh my God, what happened to you?
To Carlos's horror, it appears his uncle has been stabbed in his side.
I was hysterical, but I tried to keep Reggie calm. I held his wound, made the 911 call.
And these actors don't look nothing like the people involved.
911, where's your emergency?
I need an ambulance to Citrus Oaks Drive. My uncle
I need an ambulance.
just got stabbed.
Is he awake?
Yeah, but he need help bad.
All right, so Unc doing bad, but he's still living. So we just got to go through. We're picking up from after the lacrosse case and how this whole situation just spiraled out of control for this young lady, Crystal Mangum, and the resulting in somebody being life being taken. But it gets deeper than that, and we're gonna continue on. Shouts out to Deep Impression, the official spammer. I'm about to say scammer, official spammer of the Moe Factz channel. I appreciate you, bro. Y'all make sure y'all like, subscribe, resubscribe if you've been unsubscribed. Share, comment, please. I know y'all comment here frequently, but make sure we take that traffic over to the comment section. That way, we can engage the algorithm. And if, as I always state, this is a value for value production. It's a value for value platform. I don't take any money from YouTube. So if you could go to mofundme.com or mofactz.com and to the donate section, you can find where you could show value there. Also, I'm taking value in other ways. If you have any skills, talents, anything that can help the channel grow, also please help that way as well. We're already, oh, my fault. Oh, you also, you're so old school, you actually have a dislike button available. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. If you dislike it, dislike it. But just feel something. All right, so here we go. We're going to get into the next clip of this Fatal Attraction, Bull City style. Here we go.
Within minutes.
Hey, man, what happened?
Oh, man. He got stabbed.
Mr. Day was bleeding heavily from a wound right under his armpit.
Attempting to staunch his blood loss, they immediately transport Reggie to a nearby trauma center.
They proceeded to take him immediately to Duke Medical Center where...
How convenient. He goes to Duke. And that's why I was telling you, it's hard to escape Duke when you live in the Bull City, aka Durham, North Carolina, for people that don't know, yeah, it's you can't avoid Duke. And Roger Roundy, appreciate the you know what I'm saying, the way you blessing the channel. I appreciate it very, very much. But yeah, so he has to go back to Duke Hospital, and this is y'all file that away. All right, just file all the information I'm telling y'all away. It's gonna pay off in a minute. Here we go.
He was operated on by the emergency personnel.
With Reggie in surgery and his fate uncertain, officers try and ascertain what had transpired.
Tell us what happened.
Speaking to Carlos Wilson, they learn that Reggie lives in a nearby apartment with his 32-year-old girlfriend, Crystal Mangum, and her 3 children.
Where's Crystal and the kids now?
I don't know.
Officers race to Reggie and Crystal's apartment. There's no sign of Crystal or her kids, but
So they can't find Crystal, and Crystal being, for people that's just showing up, this is Crystal Mangum. We're referring to the alleged victim of the Duke lacrosse team that turned out to be considered a hoax. So, and no charges, all charges were dropped against the Duke lacrosse team. So we had to say that. But yeah, they looking for her. They can't find her. Yep. So yeah, and that's right. OBGYN. Duke has a lot of power in the area. A lot of power. But let's continue on.
They find is deeply disturbing.
We're gonna need to call for backup.
Go ahead and advise major crimes and x-ray.
It's as if a tornado was in the inside of the apartment.
We have knives and weapons all over the floor.
When detectives arrive, it
What, they have a knife fight? You got knives all over the floor. Interesting.
doesn't take them long to see that there's been some sort of struggle.
You think?
First thing they see are knives everywhere. Knives on the couch, broken knives, blade here, a handle there.
They called in forensics, the SBI, and the rest of them to take pictures and to test the knives and things like that.
They could tell that something very violent and something very aggressive had happened.
Well, these folks be Captain Obvious. If it's blood and knives all over the floor, I'm thinking maybe something violent did happen there. They be straight up Captain Obvious with it, but and it just give y'all a little insight. This is how it sounds when I watch TV with my wife, and this is why she hate watching TV with me, because don't let me have the remote control. I'm pausing it just like this, and breaking down every little bit, and she hates it, the life out of it. But I love her. You know what I'm saying? Still. All right, so yeah, and knives aren't easily broken. It's something fishy here. Sir, west side, excuse me. Yeah, it's something very fishy going on here. Stainless steel at that. Let's continue on. All right, so Crystal Mangum's missing. Mr. Reginald Day has got a nice knife wound in his side, and his nephew is working with the police to try to figure out what happened. So let's get into the next clip.
Discovered there were sounds of an altercation coming from the apartment earlier that evening.
Arguing and fighting.
But that's not all.
And there was another voice, and it was a male.
They heard a third voice, and this was a mystery voice. Nobody knew who this voice belonged to.
Surprise, surprise, another man. Little foreshadowing. Let's see. Little foreshadowing. Oh, big Elvis in the house. I see you've been putting in that work, bro. I slid through the live the other day. Shazier said, okay. Shazier, she knows what time it is. She said, my husband hates watching TV with me. LOL. Yeah, I'm Law and Order, SVU. Told you got my degree. I can see through it the first 5 minutes of what's going on. Let's continue on.
But who is this mystery man? And more importantly, where is Reggie's girlfriend, Crystal Mangum?
They didn't know a whole lot at that point, so there were certainly a lot of questions.
But when police start digging for answers, they strike a nerve with everyone in the city of Durham and unearth a scandal involving a prestigious university. A scandal folks in Durham thought they'd buried for good.
The Crystal Mangum.
The Crystal Mangum.
The Crystal Mangum. The Crystal Mangum. Chill, scam baiter. Let it rock. Let it rock. So this popping up dug up old stories. Old stories. What's up, Yoda? How you doing? Not Yoda. Yeah, chill with that scam baiter. We won't let you two chill tonight. All right, so Judy said crystal mangum makes my mind leap to crystal meth. Not sure why. Yeah, so let's go ahead and get into figure out who was that third voice coming from the apartment. That's enough suspense builder. Let's go ahead and get into it.
Born and raised in Durham, and the youngest of 3 children, Crystal Gail Mangum never strove to be the center of attention.
Crystal is really a kind-hearted, good person. Kind of quiet demeanor, not some loud, boisterous, outspoken person.
Bright and pretty, Crystal did well at Durham's Hillside High School.
Y'all see what I'm talking about now? And not the fact that, you know what I'm saying, they can't be, you know, say she's pretty and bright, but it's just a whole different energy when it's women doing the killing. I want y'all to pay attention to that. It's almost comical in a way, and, you know, very lighthearted. Like, listen to the music that they use when it's a dude didn't stab somebody, like dun dun dun, the maniac, crazy, so and so, done so and so, unimaginable, those kind of words. Like with her, it's like princess music. What's going on here?
Until a traumatic event threw her life off course.
There was a gentleman,
plenty of xylophone,
much older than she was, that took interest in her and at some point assaulted her. She ended up in a relationship that she shouldn't have been in. It would have been statutory rape. There were charges pressed, but the parents were encouraged to not pursue the case, so those charges were dropped.
And so what they're talking about here, let me go ahead and bring that up right now. They're talking about, let me give y'all the details on that case. Let's see, 1 second. Y'all bear with me. One second. Here we go. I had to bring that up. Okay, so what they're talking about is, I think, if I'm not mistaken, in 1996. No, matter of fact, let me just share with y'all. Let me just share with y'all how I get this up here. Then we come back to that. Share screen. Just so y'all can see what I'm seeing. All right, this is a wiki. And it says, I'm gonna have to blow that up. Whew. There we go. It's this section right here. All right, it says 1996, Mangum filed a police report alleging that 3 years earlier, when she was 14, she had been kidnapped by 3 assailants, driven to Creedmoor, North Carolina, and raped. Our word for our YouTube purposes, but that's what Wiki said, according to Wiki. One of those she accused was her boyfriend, who was 21 at the time. At the time of the accusation, or at the time of the event, which would have been statutory rape. So I'm just assuming that she was 14, he was 21. But she was with him for 3 years after that. Not saying, I'm just giving the details here, folks. She subsequently backed away from the charges, a move relatives claim was motivated by fear for her life. Mangum's father said she did not believe she was raped or injured, though her mother believes such an incident could have occurred, but not in 1993. She believed it was more likely to happen when Chris was 17 or 18. Shortly before she made the police report, Mangum's ex-husband, Kenneth Nathaniel McNeil, believed the incident occurred as she said it. So that's just what they're going off here. So let's get back into the clip.
believe that it was true. So we're talking about your parents, the people that you expect to support you, and they're the very first people that are saying, no, I don't believe you, Crystal.
All right, so we heard the wiki. Her father doesn't believe her, which I find hard. I'm not saying it's impossible, but the father not to believe you, especially when talking about 14 years old. So that just gives me, a little pause for the cause. But yeah, what are y'all thinking? What y'all thinking? Oh, the stream dropped off. Did they get me? Oh, okay. All right, what's the last thing y'all heard? All right, let's just go ahead. So, okay, let me just give y'all the backup, what I was saying. In 1996, Mangum filed a police report alleging 3 years earlier, when she was 14, she had been kidnapped by 3 assailants, driven to Creedmoor and R-Word. One of those she accused was a boyfriend who was 21 at the time. But it goes on to say her father didn't believe her, but her mother said the event possibly could have happened, but later on when Crystal was 17 or 18. So that's what we missed. All right, so yeah, hopefully everybody's filled in. They knocked me off, but that's all right. We're going to keep on pushing. It ain't no problem. Where we stop at? Okay. All right, so we're getting into where they're going to do a little background on the Duke case. Let's go. And I'm going to have to stop. I think I was playing it for a long period of time. I'm going to have to stop it in between intermittently. Okay, here we go.
3 adoring children, a good home. By the spring of 2011, it seemed Crystal Mangum was finally living the life she'd always imagined.
Okay, so she got the potential stepdaddy over here, 3 kids, you know what I'm saying? I think about 2 different fathers. And now she's kind of like selling in, like this is her second lease on life. So let's see. But obviously it didn't end well because Mr. Reginald Day ends up stabbed and eventually died. Spoiler alert, but let's continue on.
He was a really good man to her, and she cared about him a lot. He was starting to talk about marriage, even though they had been together for just a couple of months.
Y'all know what time it is. With all due respect, Mr. With the utmost due respect, Mr. Day was simping. Talking marriage after a couple of months, bruh. Yeah, it ain't what you want to do. But let's continue on.
But just when Crystal and Reggie's whirlwind romance seems destined for the altar, another storm begins to brew.
These storms, I told you, steamy, stormy. Hey, them are things you want. If you are describing your relationship with those kind of words, steamy, stormy, turbulent, dang, they cut it again. Bruh, I'm trying to tell you. Okay. They want to jack around with me that way. All right. Okay. Y'all let me know when it's back. I see that. Okay, y'all let me know when I'm back. Bruh, they shut me down. Moe Factz, second string suspended. All right. Boy, they got their foot on my nizzag. Are we back? Are we back? Are we back? Are we back? All right, so we back. Obviously, like Rob 3000 has said, TV One got their foot on my Nizak. How should we proceed? You know what? I don't want to keep dropping out on y'all. So basically, let me give y'all the summary of what happened. I'm gonna have to give y'all the whole scoop. Just so, you know what I'm saying, so we don't have to keep going through this, cause I got other clips to get to as well. But they won't let me be great. All right, so we're going to have to go from the wiki. So then it says attempted murder charges. Just before the night of February 17, 2010, Durham police were called to make, we heard about that, you know. Aunt got stabbed, nephew pulled him in the house. He got a nice little wound going, bleeding everywhere. They go to find out where she's at. She's missing. Then they finally catch up to her. And they get her side of the story. Yeah, I'm just gonna tell you, Dan. That's what's up. Hopefully they don't get me for this video. I mean, they on my neck right now, but that's all right. Look, we ain't gonna worry with that TV One no more, because that's a highly sensitive situation. So what we're gonna have to do is do it like this. It's always a workaround. Hold on, let's see here. This is the clip right here that paused everything. I actually found a Jailhouse interview. Let's see, hold on. Now I'm gonna have to reorder everything. Let's see. Okay. All right, so here we go. This is a long clip. So what we're gonna have to do is listen to it. Now it was what? Yeah, I'm gonna post the link. Yeah, I'm gonna post everything in there. But this is the one that stopped everything right here. This is her Jailhouse interview, and she's gonna explain what actually happened that night. And I want us to go through it. It's a long clip, so I'm gonna stop it periodically, just so we can break down all of what she's saying. And it's audio, so hopefully won't have any issues. So here we go. This is Crystal Mangum in her own words, what happened that night at the Duke lacrosse party.
You say you in the military and you got 3 kids and you got into exotic dancing. How was life as an exotic dancer, trying to make a living for your kids and stuff like that?
Well, in the beginning, it was okay. I was making pretty good money. When I initially started exotic dancing, I went out with a guy that I met from high school named Milton, which I eventually met later on. He took me on trips to different clubs, and it was at a club in Hillsborough that I met a lady from the escort service, and she taught me how I could make more money than what I was making. At the time, I was making about $300 or $400 a night, and I was working 3 nights a week.
So she was making basically, $1,000 a week stripping. And it's funny that they never brought up who the escort service was and what was really the deal with that. I just find that interesting, you know what I'm saying? Because escorting, that's that gray area, especially in those times, between prostitution, and that was never investigated. So I just find that strange, especially, considering how high profile this case was that her name never came up. Right, you know what I'm saying? And that's the thing. I mean, like she was the right, Beezy. Trying to make a life for your kids, being an exotic dancer. I'm so tired of hearing that excuse. And the other thing is that she like you were saying about an exotic dancer. I mean, but she was making $1,000 a week, so some people say it's always easier just to live that life. Yep. So you know what I'm saying? I just find that interesting. But here we go. Let's get back to this interview.
So I was averaging close to $1,000 a week, and at the time I was going to Durham Technical Community College. And
Durham Tech, shout out.
I was trying to study to be a nurse. I was just trying to work my way out of the situation that I was in. The guy that I was seeing left me with 2 kids and basically told me I was on my own. He was from a rich family. He was a rich kid. His dad was a retired LAPD, retired judge. He was a white guy.
Retired LAPD, retired judge is who her first 2 children are by, the son of. It's who her first 2 children are by. Just found that to be a very interesting fact. And none of these people really came up in the story. It's a lot to this story. When I started digging, it's way more than what was on the surface. And I'm like I said, I lived in Durham at this time, and I found out more about this case. But let's continue on.
My first 2 kids are biracial. So early on, I experienced racism. At the time, I didn't know it was racism. I just
look, don't get me started, bro. It just sounds too fishy. A judge, former LAPD, coming in. Who has her keys? Let's go.
Saw it as
don't get me started.
It's an unfortunate situation that I found myself in, and the only thing that I really knew was how to survive. You know, I didn't really think at the time about the dynamics of everything, and that he was a white guy that really pretty much took advantage of me and just looked at me as just a poor black girl that he could just use and just throw away.
Hello. Anybody there? All right. BZ, all right. MK Ultra used on the strippers that's recruited. Yeah. Who did she meet at that club that night? I think Uber Tramp. I think that you're saying you could progress through the whole legal system, from cop to probably lawyer to judge. Yeah, but but let's continue. We ain't got nowhere yet. Let's go.
So he left me with 2 kids, and I figured, okay, I'll do this escorting thing, and I'll try to earn as much money as possible so that I can get out and continue to go to school and become a nurse. Support my kids. In the meantime, he's still behind in child support. At the time, he was something like $10,000 behind in child support.
And your daddy the judge. Hold on, you $10,000 behind in child support, but your daddy the judge or a former judge. Please help me understand.
So I did about three or four gigs with the escort service, and the 4th gig was at a fraternity house, which at the beginning they told me it was a bachelor party with 3 or 4 guys. And when I got there, there were about 10 or 15 guys in the backyard, and so immediately, I knew that there was something more to the situation than what I was told, because there was.
Let me stop right there. Thank you, Tiger Auntie. She said that doesn't sound like a typical speech pattern for a common prostitute. Oh, there's one more detail I forgot to add here. Let's go here. Hold on 1 second. Let's go here. After graduation, this paragraph right here. Let me see. Let's do that in yellow. It says, after graduation from high school in 1996, Mangum joined the United States Navy. She trained to operate radios, navigational technologies. While serving in the Navy, Mangum married McNeil. Her marriage quickly broke down. Mangum reported to the police that her husband had been threatened to kill her. Her husband had threatened to kill her, but the charges were dismissed when she failed to appear in court. She served less than 2 years in the Navy before being discharged honorably. I'm going to say that. After becoming pregnant by a fellow sailor with whom she went on to have another child. So, yeah, she's former Navy as well. Just to add that in there. Let's continue on.
For guys, obviously.
Excuse me one second.
The other dancer that...
Hold on one second. Was that at Duke University?
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, yeah, it was on Duke campus. Yeah, it was at a fraternity house on Duke campus. But it was dark, and my driver took me, and I wasn't really paying attention to, even though I grew up in Durham, like they said Markham.
Y'all pay attention to what she say next.
Street. I wasn't really paying attention. You have to really know me and like understand me to really know that I don't really pay attention to a lot of detail. I do now, but like at the time I was 24, 25. I wasn't really paying attention to like my surroundings. I took things for granted. Like,
you don't pay attention to your surroundings when you're 24, 25 years old. I just find that interesting. I could see if she said like 17, 18, something like that. 24, 25-year-old, and you ain't paying attention to your surroundings. Very interesting. But let's continue. On her own words, I want y'all to hear what she said happened at night.
I didn't equate Markham Street with Duke University. I just thought it's just another house on Markham Street, you know. With and like I said, it was supposed to be a bachelor party. If they had told me it was a fraternity party, then maybe an alarm would have went off and said, well, okay, yeah, maybe this is associated with the university. But because they told me it was a bachelor party, I didn't really make the connection at the time.
Okay, so you said it was more people than you expected.
It could be any of those: Arrested Development, being traumatized, or just being, you know what I'm saying, clueless. But just all these things, it's just she's a fascinating character. This would make an awesome movie for anybody out there wanting to make a movie about this.
Yeah, I expected 3 or 4 guys. The lady at the escort service told me there was going to be 3 or 4 guys there. And when I got there, there was like, they were drinking out of like plastic cups, and there was like 10, 15 guys. And
I want y'all to hear how detailed she is about all the details, down to what they're drinking out of and everything. And just make a note of that. There
was one female in the backyard. Of course, when I got inside the house, there was even more guys there. There were maybe like 20 more guys inside. So I'm like, well, this is just like, we had no protection. And like I said, I took things for granted. Like now, like walking into that situation, like all kind of alarm bells would go off. Like, no, this is just not right. Yeah, I got to get out now. But at the time, you know, I just took it for granted. Okay, I'm going to get in and get out.
Thank you, Judy S. Thank you. Details, but she wasn't paying attention to her surroundings, huh? Let's just continue on.
But and then so many things went wrong. Like my driver went to sleep. He was supposed to come back and pick me up at 1 o'clock. It's supposed to be from 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. And he never came back. He went to sleep. So, and then they took my cell phone. So when they trapped me in the bathroom, I had no help. Like no one was there to help me. And I had been drinking. I drank like maybe 3 drinks before I got to the party. And then they gave me something at the party while we were in the bathroom.
They gave her something at the party. Just laying out all the details here. So she had 3 drinks before she got there, and they gave her something at the party. And if we go over the wiki, they say, and just going by what the official story is, where was it at? After arriving in an intoxicated state, having earlier consumed alcohol and cyclobenzoprine, so under the name Flexeril, she was on Flexeril, among other, as a medication used for muscle spasms from musculoskeletal conditions of sudden onset. So she was on a Flexeril and sipping. Sound like she was on that Cosby. For real. What did they give her? I got a bunch of questions here, but let's continue on.
While we were changing, they were getting impatient, so we rushed out and we tried to perform, but they were so loud and like yelling at us and telling us to take our clothes off and just trying to tell us like what to do. Like we were like, this is just shit. And then Kim, the other dancer, was like yelling back at them, and I'm trying to calm her down, and she's like, no, she's yelling at me. So it was just so chaotic. We ran back in the bathroom. So at that point, that's when we got separated, and I can hear her yelling and screaming outside, and they trapped me in the bathroom. And
let's just go over her friend Kim. Let's see. On the wiki, it says, what did it say? Hold on one second. Where did I read that at? Okay, this one, I got it now. Let's see, let's find Kim. It says Kim, Mira Roberts, aka Kim Mira Pittman, were respectively black and biracial, half black, half Asian. Before arriving at the party, Mangum, by her own admission, had consumed alcohol and Flexeril. So by her own admission, this is according to her wiki now. She had taken alcohol and Flexeril. Mangum and Roberts traveled to the party separately. Roberts drove herself and arrived first. Mangum was later dropped off by a man. So she said her ride fell asleep. Was he waiting for her? Did he go home and waiting for her? Yeah, it does sound, thank you, Rod. It does sound like those thigh opener situation, right? You know what I'm saying, with the disco biscuits. But yeah, so they show up according to team captain. Just give y'all fill in, but I'm saying the story. I'm gonna give you the official story because that's kind of what the clips I had did, but I don't feel like being taken down like every 5 minutes. It says, according to the team captain, one of the players asked if the stripper had any sex toys. Hold on, let me go and share this. Let me share this right quick. Share screen. Stop sharing screen. Share screen. All right, so we on the wiki. Where we stop at. According to the team captain, one of the players asked the stripper if she had any sex toys, and Robert responded by asking the player if the player's penis was too small. So this is Robert's Kim, her friend, setting up, you know what I'm saying, hyping it up. You know what I'm saying? And obviously the intoxicated lacrosse players, you know what I'm saying, they going back and forth. The player then brandished a broomstick and suggested that she used this as a sex toy, which I believe he said that, but he probably didn't say that in that more innocent manner, you know what I'm saying, knowing drunk frat boy lacrosse type player, he probably said, shove this up your you know what. This exchange of words abruptly stopped the performance. Both strippers shut themselves in the home's bathroom. This is still in accordance to what she's saying in her story. While the women were still in the bathroom, player Reed Silman and Colin Finnerty left the house. So they left. The women eventually came out, and Mangum roamed around the yard half-dressed and shouting. According to Mangum, the women were coaxed back into the house with apologies, at which point they were separated. She asserted she was dragged into the bathroom, R-word, beaten and choked for a half an hour. Later, the police received a 911 call from a woman complaining that white men gathered outside the home where the party took place, had called her racial slurs and threatened to sodomize her with the broomstick, as I said he said, and not that, manner. So just to give you what happened according to Wikipedia. Let's go back to her story now.
That's when they raped me inside the bathroom. At that point, they said that...
Let me back up a little bit.
It was just so chaotic, we ran back in the bathroom. So at that point, that's when we got separated. And I can hear her yelling and screaming outside, and they trapped me in the bathroom. And that's when they raped me inside the bathroom. At that point, they said that they couldn't find, they found semen, inside my underwear, but they said it didn't match anybody at the house.
So this is where it doesn't make any sense, that they found semen on her, but it didn't match anybody at the house. I find that to be strange. Either they would find it or wouldn't find it, but to say they found it but it didn't match. Is she lying? Is she delusional? I don't know. But I mean, I wanted her side of the story to be heard, because we pay attention to everything. And if you have a person in their own words, that's the best thing to listen to, so you can gain some kind of clarity or insight on what happened. So this is why I'm playing this for y'all, and this is why I stopped the show yesterday, so we could play this today, so we could all assess if she's making this up or it doesn't make sense what she's saying, and just what kind of mind state she was in. Yeah, it do remind you that the Kobe situation, if I think that's what you're alluding to. Just find it interesting. But let's continue on.
Because they rushed me to the hospital after it happened.
Duke Hospital.
And they threw me.
Just keep Duke Hospital. Just keep that in mind.
Me in her car and took me to Kroger parking lot, where the police took me to the rape crisis center, and then from there they took me to Duke Hospital. And when they did the rape kit,
Duke Hospital,
they said that the semen didn't match any of the players. But the thing is that they waited 3 days before they even searched the house. And a lot of people don't know that, they were...
You have 60 seconds remaining.
Good.
All right, Crystal.
Hello?
Yes, I'm here.
So the DA, Mike Nifong, he was trying to pressure the police department to go in and investigate, and they were dragging their feet, saying that the Duke campus police wouldn't let them go in. And Nifong was upset because he was saying that Duke police was running or was telling Durham police what to do. He couldn't understand why they were following Duke's lead, and they were saying they couldn't overstep Duke's boundaries.
So the Durham Police Department, according to her, couldn't overstep the Duke campus police. Find that also to be interesting. And just to give you, she does have history with the Durham Police Department. So let's just add that blog to the fire. Going back to her wiki. Where was that at? Let's see. Oh, not yet. Let's not get to that yet. Let's get back to her story.
It took 3 days for them to sort that out. And in the meantime, they said when they got there, everything was cleaned up. So the DNA that they found, they said it didn't match. And then they said they found DNA that matched knife on my top. So
Knife on? They got everybody DNA. Now, what's really going on? But now I think that's due to contamination. But I just found it interesting the way she said that they found knife on. So this evidence is clearly contaminated. Clearly contaminated. Let's continue on.
And so the DNA was botched from the beginning. And then there started being stories about me.
And your great point, Chris P. Lack of DNA does not mean R did not take place, right? But we got to figure out who, why, who this benefits, this whole thing, right? That's an excellent point.
Changing my story, and they kept coming back to me and asking me, was I sure if they used their penis or did they use a broomstick or something? I said, well, I saw a broomstick handle, but I was like out of it. Like, I don't know what they used, but I just know that it hurt really bad. And so there started being stories about I don't know if I was raped, and they started twisting my words around, and it just became so confusing and everything.
Stop for a great comment. Beezy said the Kanika case to the Charlemagne keys to this, they all have the same pattern. This does have a very striking resemblance to the Charlemagne the guard situation. What's up, Shift Maker? How you doing? Glad you can make it. But let's continue on. Let's let her continue on.
It started playing out in the media, but at the same time, the police officers were telling me, don't worry about it. Everything's going to be fine. Don't talk to the media. They were telling me, ignore the media, don't talk to the media. And now I realize that it was being played out in the court of public opinion, but without me. Like, at the same time, the police weren't doing anything. So they were using the media against me, but they were telling me not to say anything.
So they said, she was saying the police was using the media to discredit her because obviously they were doing some things under board, below board to set, you know what I'm saying, these dude players up or make it seem that they were setting them up. I appreciate that, David. Thank you. But yeah, it seems like they were like trying to cover their tracks. And you got to realize, just to give people background, Mike Nifon was in a heated primary election for the DA position. He saw this as an opportunity to ingratiate himself to the black community so he could get the black vote turnout to push him over the edge to get the to be the nominee for the DA position, which he later won, because this did the word that we used to use, we don't use as much anymore, but to activate. This is a key example of activation. And he found the stimulus to activate the voter base to get out. And I think after they activated, they thought they could throw her away, because if you look back into her 2002 allegation, go back, 96, 10 years prior, they could easily say she's done this before, she accused people before, we wanted to believe her, all people to believe, we did our due diligence, he's won his election, get her off the hook, discredit her. I think that's what happened, but and I think I know for sure, people had interest in Duke becoming more woke. And could they be the ones that put the battery and knife phones back to say, hey, we got your back. Just do what you need to do. It's a win-win for everybody. So that's what we're going to get into. But let's finish up with her last few minutes of her side of the story, because we need to hear this. We've heard everybody speak in this situation but her. So I thought this would be a great opportunity to listen to her speak in her own words, explain what happened. Now, I'll say this, she's been a little vague on what happened in the situation. She was so detailed to say what cups they drank out of, whatever, that kind of thing. And then you get down to what happened, you can't, give any details. So, yeah, discredited stripper, right? You know what I'm saying? That's how she's going to be referred to the whole time. Stripper. Not former naval, not former Navy participant, not, college graduate, none of that. It's stripper. That's all you're going to hear. That's all you read. But this is just me paying attention to everything. So let's go ahead and get her last few words on what happened at night.
And then it all fell apart when they set up a meeting with the Attorney General's office in Raleigh, and I met with Mary Winstead and Jim Coleman and some members of the FBI, and they sat me down from like 8 o'clock in the morning to like 4 in the afternoon, and they basically grilled me on everything from like the color of the rug to what the guys were wearing, the shade of their eyes. Like, they were just asking me, and it was almost like I was not telling the truth because I couldn't remember certain things that had happened, and it was to the point where when I left there, I was almost in a nervous breakdown, at the point of a nervous breakdown.
Nervous breakdown. So they did some kind of mental manipulation to her. This is her words. I'm just stating what she's saying. But I would say this, it's on the accuser and the prosecution to prove the person accused to being guilty. You are innocent till proven guilty, according to my SVU education in law. And I'll say this, if you don't have proof, evidence, then you cannot convict the person. And a person should be innocent until proven guilty. And I will always stand on that, because if not, I will be a hypocrite. Because if I'm being judged, that's what I would want to have happen in the justice system. Now, we know people put their thumb on the justice system, the scales of the justice system. We're not going to play that game. But at the same time, we have to have a set of rules that we play by, all play by, or should play by. And this is why I find this case so intriguing, because it seems like no matter where you look at it, people were putting their thumbs on the scales to make it weigh how they wanted to make it weigh. But yeah, that is a red flag for me, perverted. Her father did not believe her. I find that to be a huge red flag that I cannot oversee, but that still does not mean something didn't happen that night. And as we always say, two things can be true. One, something could have happened that night where she was assaulted, but also two, the evidence was botched, mishandled, maybe even tampered with, and they didn't have the evidence to prove their case. So we know those, and we have Mike Knifeon's confession that he did have some unethical dealings in this case. So let's continue on with her confession, or her side of the story, or her rendition.
I just had my baby, because I was also pregnant at the time. So it's amazing that my baby actually made it, because I was under so much stress.
So you were pregnant while you were pregnant at the time when when the incident happened?
Yeah, I was pregnant by Matthew, the father of the guy that I was with at the time. They found out like 3 months into my pregnancy that I was pregnant, and they had me basically.
Get on them, Miguel. Get on them. At least pay me with a like. This is value for value. Remember, this is value for value. So if you find value in this, please show value back. At least like it and comment at the bare minimum. All right, let's go back to her rendition of the story.
Stripped and took pictures of my naked body, and then they did it again when I was like 7 months pregnant. And looking back on that, like that was the most like private, the most humiliating thing that I experienced. Like there was just so many things that was just so wrong that went on that I don't even think were legal. And then the police.
Right, and that's the other thing. People say, yeah, drinking and drugging while she was pregnant, both Savage and Robo 3-ish, they both pointed this out. And look, and this is, so she was, let's see don't say what year she was born. But let's just do some quick math on this. 2006. Yeah, these are kids. These the kids is like teenagers now, young 20s. Her kids. So, I mean, do you see why they be wild? You see why they be turned up? Let's go. Let's get back to the story.
Officers were like laughing, like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna get them now. We're gonna have them all stirred up now." Like, when they see these pictures, and then there started being rumors about the baby was lacrosse players. And then the media hype started up again. I started having to hide out and not being able to take my kids to school because they were in the kindergarten and first grade at the time, my youngest two. So it was a really, really stressful period for me.
And we hear her say have to hide out, and we got to think about what in the light of what happened in the Rittenhouse case where the media were stalking the jurors. So I'm sure there was a lot of pressure on her. And like I said, I'm not defending her. What we're doing is we are, one, humanizing her and you know what I'm saying, and listening empathetically so we can hear all the details of the story so we can make it, our own judgment of what happened. And I would love to see Nate the lawyer to break this case down. Y'all should go over to his channel when we leave here tonight and nudge him to try to see him revisit this case because this is a very fascinating case. Let's continue on.
And then the charges ended up being dropped when Roy Cooper, after the meeting with the Attorney General office, Roy Cooper got on national television and declared him innocent. Basically, he said that I was unstable and that I kept changing my story, which none of those things were validated. And he also said that the DNA evidence was inconclusive, which they never showed proof of any of the DNA. They gave me back all of the things that they tested, which they shouldn't have done. Instead of keeping them as evidence, they gave them to me.
Which I find to be weird. I find that to be very weird that they found her, they gave her back evidence. I don't know if that's normal procedure, but I just find that to be weird. What's up, Miss Tiffany? Nah, you ain't never late, right on time. All right, so this is her testimony. This not official testimony, but this is her story of what happened. I think it should be heard. At least, we have it all the details. And it's clear. I don't think she really knows what happened that night. And what you feel is not what you feel, what you can prove in the court of law. In the court of law, let me be clear, because we all have to be judged by that same standard. But these are the final few seconds of this interview.
The meeting with the AG's office was not recorded.
So pretty much they threw the case out.
They pretty much tried it in the media and threw it out. If it had gone to trial, I had a strong case. They would have attacked me, but there's no way that they would have been allowed to attack me anywhere close to the degree that the media attacked me.
And she keeps blaming the media. She doesn't really sound upset with the justice system more than she does the media. And it seems like the media on both sides used her and threw her away, as well as Mike Nifong and whoever else. She was a political football, and she's a casualty of the mainstream media, our mortal enemy. So This is why we do what we do here, because they not only me, but the gentleman also I think it's Don Vito, vibing with Don Vito. You can find him, I think, on Instagram. That's Vibing with Don Vito. It takes shows like this and his to bring light to these little spreaded facts. I mean, little, allowed to be spreaded facts. Tyler B, I'm gonna need you to put some goggles on. See this? Hold on. I'm gonna use this as an example. This is why I tell y'all the Facts family be on it. I'm gonna just go ahead and give it to you. I'm gonna go ahead and give it to you now. Hold on, not that one. Let's see. Right here. That's why I say the Facts family be on it right here. Man, hold on. Let me see. Tyler B's comment, even before we got to that point. Roy Cooper's role in the case is interesting given he is now being floated as presidential candidate. Bam, right there. So I told y'all, man, goggles. I'm giving everybody goggles for Christmas. Now I'm messing with you, Tyler B. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. Like we see what time it is out here, and we see what be going on. Everybody be knowing, like, there she is. Now it's officially a party. Andre done stepped in the house. Judy S been putting in work without you, Andre. So you got to catch up. All right, so yeah, so that's what happened. And let's listen to the final little piece of her story.
Because the half of the things that the media was saying were not true. Like, the media said that I was a drug user. I've never used drugs in my life. I've never been addicted to any type of drug.
Stop. Let's go back to the wiki again. See, this is what I'm saying. This doesn't make any sense. This doesn't make any sense. None of this. The conflict and story. And that's why I did this, so y'all can hear it and see it for yourself. And that's why I had to stop and add this to the show and restructure the show in a manner that I did, because I want all the details to go out. Now let's go back to her wiki page one more time. Is it this one? It says here, after arriving in an intoxicated state, having earlier consumed alcohol and Flexeril. This is the name for Flexeril. Okay, that's what that says. Okay, now let's go back again. Let's remove that. Let's go back, add, share screen again. It says here, before arriving at the party, Mangum, by her own admission, had consumed alcohol and Flexeril. So she says she didn't use any drugs, and I'm going to back it up so we can hear her say it again. But it's clearly either Wiki's lying and she should sue Wiki, or she's lying and she's a stone cold face liar. But both of these can't be consistent and accurate. Let's go back to her. Her admission says she's never used drugs. One more time. Let's back that up.
But there's no way that they would have been allowed to attack me anywhere close to the degree that the media attacked me. Because the half of the things that the media was saying were not true. Like, the media said that I was a drug user. I've never used drugs in my life. I've never been addicted to any type of drug. They said that I was bipolar. I've never been diagnosed with bipolar disorder ever.
Let's go back and see what it says here. I think they brought out her mental state in the wiki. Let me see. Let me go back and make sure. I don't think it said it. I think I read it in an article, but it made mention that she had issues with mental health. Oh, they said it in the clip in the show. I remember it now. It was one of the clips in the show towards the end. She could be, that could be a semantics. But to say that and know you self-admittedly was using Flexeril and alcohol, that's just another red flag to me. But we have to listen to hear her story out.
In my life, they said that I was a bad mother. I've always been a single mother. My kids have been with me my entire life. They made up these fictitious names for my kids, and they put these fake pictures of my kids online that were not.
That's a good point. Andrea Jackson said, Wikipedia, the terror source, they make what they want to be true, then lock the pages so you can't correct it. So, but if it's this is the accepted source of vetted information, publicly vetted, that's how they make it appear. So this was what shapes the public narrative. So that's why I always refer to Wikipedia, because like if you say I got it from Wikipedia, to the public, that means it's agreed upon that it's as accurate as possible. So that's why I use it as a source to say what is the common narrative about this situation, this story, compared to what she's saying. So that's why I'm using it. I know there's, of course, there's better sources. But thank you, Andrea, for correcting me. Now I'm playing, but let's continue on.
Not even mine. They never. It was just so many things that the media did that were not true to make me look like a typical hood rat, you know.
So you think that,
and they did try to make her look like and sound like and appear to be the average hood rat. And as I think Tiger Auntie stated that she has very good how can I say it? She's very in control of herself and how she speaks. Not just about English or, grammar, but she's very measured. That's the word I'm looking for. She's very measured in how she speaks. And I find that to be interesting. In a stark contrast with how they try to paint her out to be, the hood rat. When she came from a 2-parent house. Now I don't know the conditions of her family, but everything leans towards not being the kind of, person that the media try to paint her as. And I agree with her that the media didn't do her any justice because, one, you didn't hear from her very much. And two, I thought rape cases, the assaults, the victims are not supposed to be named. That's another thing I just found to be interesting. In these times that she was named, normally that's not the case. I mean, it's just according to my SVU law and order degree. That's where we're going on. So now, in the result of her, the Duke case falling apart, we have to go and listen. And I want to show, this is a very important clip because it shows the theatrics that was surrounding this case, and Fox News was a big progenitor of the theatrics. Surprise, surprise. But this is the back and forth between the new Black Panther Party leader and a Fox commentator. Here we go.
No model.
It's going to be on a jury now. That's right. Indictments handed down, arrests made on at least.
No, excuse me. This is not it. This is Nancy Grace, and this is the Nancy Grace clip I believe we heard on the show. I just want to put the visuals with it.
2 young men. We're expecting yet a third indictment in the Duke lacrosse rape scandal. Let's go straight to Clark Goldband, our producer. What can you tell me about these 2 young men?
They come from some nice homes in the shadow of New York City. Nance, let's first start with.
And if you notice the theatrics, we all know this is staged and this is rehearsed for him to play the typical Duke frat boy, douchebag. He even got the blue sports coat on with no tie and the pastel shirt. He looks like the all-American douchebag, right? So this is theatrics. This is how the media was. This is what the time the media was on back then, that they would actually have staged back and forth like this. Oh, thank you, Carlton Way 1. I think we discovered the OG Karen. Thank you. Thank you. I was just about to slip past that. Nancy Grace is the OG Karen. If you look up Karen in the dictionary, you would see Nancy Grace as image there. So much so, I think we need to start calling Karens Nancy's. She's a dead ringer for, you know what I'm saying, Karen of the year. But here we go, Nancy Grace.
With Collins' home, it's in Garden City, New York.
I'm sorry. When did you get on a first name basis with a defendant in a rape case?
Well, I'm not.
Okay, Mr. Finnerty, go ahead.
Okay, Mr. Finnerty's home is assessed at $1,900,000.
I'm asking you about the family. Why are you giving me $2 million? What does that mean to me?
That's how much their house is worth, where he comes from.
And
in Garden City, New York.
Your point is?
I thought you would be interested in their backgrounds.
That they're rich? Is that what you're telling me?
Well, I'm telling you, they do have some nice homes, Nancy.
What he's trying to tell you is they got money and they can go to war. And that's the thing about money. That is the thing about money, that when you got money, you can get the best lawyers. And that's where the justice system is not, I would say, equal. Wouldn't say fair, I would say equal, because your lawyers far outweigh, if you have money, can far outweigh the law. I'm saying the legal capabilities of the prosecution. So let's continue on.
And we also have one from Reed Seligman. His comes in at about $1,300,000. A very nice area as well, Essex Fells.
Okay, what is this?
It's about a half-hour away from Manhattan on the Jersey.
There it is. Shouts out to AO. These Duke players were from Manhattan suburbs in New Jersey, in New York. We're talking about deep pockets. And the thing is, this ain't even power. This ain't even nowhere near power. But this is just the upper middle class. So definitely a problem when you're talking about going against somebody like Knife On. They got lawyers, they got they have private investigators, they have legal teams. No, and then I would be the same way. If my child was up against something I felt they didn't do, I would not spare any resource getting them cleared. And when you're talking about in 2006, $1.5 million homes, that kind of thing, and in the suburbs of New York City, the suburbs to Manhattan, yeah, there was it. Right, thank you, Cho. It was rich but not old money. No, Duke is old money, and I'm gonna show you how old money operate. So, but this is the beginnings of this is that next step, of getting into old money. So we're gonna see what happens here.
Side. So let's take a look at the house of the parents of the alleged victim. Their home comes in at around...
Wait. Are you trying to say that the victim is going to be outgunned by money in court?
I'm not trying to say anything, Nancy.
Yes.
See, I'm letting the stats make sure the stats are doing the talking.
Okay, and let me throw a stat at you.
Okay.
False rape reporting, false sex assault reporting is somewhere between the low numbers of 2% and 8%. Okay, so you can roll all that money together, and it means not a hill of beans in my assessment of this case. Are you saying they're going to hire high-priced lawyers? Is that where you're going?
Yes, and this lends to Lonvi, a.k.a. Tiger Auntie's statement. Just because your house is worth $1 million plus doesn't mean you have the cash to fight false prosecution. But it does mean that you can and will leverage your house in any way possible. So you're saying to get the cash. So I think that's the point. If that's a common thing, that putting up the house, that's the thing, being able to put up the house. And you assume, if you can afford a Duke education and $1.5 million house in comparison to the resources that Crystal had, it wouldn't be any comparison. Yeah, that hair, boy, that's the Karen, boy, that's the whole, yeah. That's it. All right, so here we go.
I'm not going anywhere. I have some more stats
Okay,
for
go
you
ahead,
if you're
go.
interested.
Go.
Take a look at the incomes of these 3 towns where all 3 of these players are from. In Garden City, it's around 100,000. In Essex Fells, it's about 150, which is very, very high in the United States. And in Durham, North Carolina, $43,000. And lastly, where they went to school, if you're interested, these 2 private schools, they clock in at about $23,000 each. And of course, where the alleged victim went, it's free.
So just to go show you that, I mean, I just wanted to lay that out. You know, this is what you were hearing. I wanted to put the visuals to the audio that you heard in episode 72. Now let's go and listen just to show you how staged it is. This is when it jumps to the shark, and this is the lacrosse score.
Know that there are witnesses that are ultimately going to come forward and name the 3 men in the bathroom with this girl. So Clark Goldband, what are the...
Remember, she said she never said that they did it, and she's for sure somebody's gonna come forward and name them. Remember on the show, she said she never said they were guilty, but that's a strong, bold statement that she just said. But let's continue on to show you how staged this whole media is.
Stats.
Well, Nancy, the stats are hard to know right now because Duke no longer in the league. Hofstra, number 2 ranked Hofstra, surging ahead of Sacred Heart last night, 19 to...
Clark, I don't mean the athletic stats. I mean the rape stats. What would that have to do with this case?
I'm sorry, Nancy, I misunderstood.
Once again, sports coat, no tie, clean cut, you know, all-American douchebag look. So, yeah, so that they even went to as far as like covering the sports scores and stats in this segment. So that just lets you know how fugazi it is. So speaking of fugazi, let's go over to the king of fugazi, and this is Fox News. No, excuse me, this is not Fox News. So this is actual, you got me out of order now because somebody didn't put their goggles on. This is actually eventual Governor Roy Cooper dismissing the charges against the Duke lacrosse lacrosse players. Excuse me.
FBI agents have interviewed numerous people who were at the party, DNA and other experts, the Durham County District Attorney, Durham police officers, defense attorneys, and the accusing witness on several occasions. We have reviewed statements given over the year, photographs, records, and other evidence. The result of our review and investigation shows clearly that there is insufficient evidence to proceed on any of the charges. Today, we are filing notices of dismissal for all charges against Reed Seligman, Colin Finnerty, and David Evans. The result is that these cases are over, and no more criminal proceedings will occur.
And if y'all don't think this had a role in him being governor later down the line, please believe me. Please believe me, that was the case. And after that, Fox went, and, as they always do, went into troll mode. Anytime they get a dub, they go to trolling. And this is the Black Panther Party speaking with the Fox correspondent. Apologies. Exactly. Auntie, I'm getting that feeling too, that she was a convenient tool for a bigger scheme at hand. Yes. Glad you picking up what I'm putting down. Back to Fox.
We'll be here from gavel to when the final jury verdict is read, and we demand and are pursuing that this jury verdict come back guilty. Against the accused. That's right. It should come back what? Guilty. It should come back what? Guilty. How do you find the 2 defendants, the 3 defendants in this case?
Guilty. When the case started to fall apart, Malik Shabazz, the general counsel of the Panthers, entered the no-spin zone.
But I never said they were guilty of rape. I said they were guilty. And I still stand say that this case is a strong case for sexual assault.
And I still find it interesting that they couldn't get the A team out here. They couldn't get Jackson, Sharpton. Who was big at that time? Let's see who was really popping at that time in race relations. This predates DL. But no, they couldn't get, this is who they had to get, Malik Shabazz of the new Black Panther Party, which I think they later were tied in with Acorn, I believe. That Democratic, y'all correct me if I'm wrong. I think they were tied in with Acorn later, 2 years later, with the whole Obama thing, if I'm not mistaken. But let's go ahead and let Malik Shabazz play his role. And the reason why I played this in this order, y'all saw how it was staged on the Nancy Grace show, and it was openly staged. But this is just as staged as the Nancy Grace clip, if not more staged.
Kidnapping, charges that can and probably will leave these young men behind prison walls. That's
and if the case is dropped, will that indicate to you the society is racist?
It will prove to me that Mike Nifong doesn't know what he's doing.
Mr. Shabazz joins us from Washington. Good evening. What do you have to say for yourself now, Mr. Shabazz?
And now he has to come up here and play the role of, sore loser.
I have to say that I am disappointed in the terrible performance of Mike Nifong, that the victim, who's Kim, the accuser in this case, is a real victim here. And I still believe that something criminally went wrong in that house, and this case was botched by prosecutors in this case. So I will not apologize, and I will not apologize in my defense of black women who have been raped and abused by white men. Over 1,600,000 black women have been sexually assaulted and raped by white men since we came here on slave ships. None of them have been.
I'm not sure how you got to that number. Not saying it's not accurate or inaccurate. I'm just saying how you pluck that number out of the sky. And this is what these people do. They speak in numbers and spells to invoke emotions out of you. The same way with Nancy Grace played with the 2 to 8%. People, false claims, or claims are false. They pluck these stats out of that's beneficial in both ways. Both sides do it. There's really no credence to that number. I'm not saying it might be grossly underestimated. Who knows? But just to pluck that random number out of the air without any context, that is to invoke motions. That's all. Just to give y'all a little tip.
Prosecuted. I will not apologize for defending black women.
You're not going to apologize to the Duke lacrosse team that you smeared, that you convicted. Didn't you hear the North Carolina Attorney General's statement? Didn't you hear that
Listen to her tone and how she talks to him. And that's why I say he's playing a role to be chastised, to be condemned. And he's supposed to play the, I don't care what the facts say. I am going to be here to support to the beginning to the end. And I'm here to tell you, brother, I'm here to play and fight, and we're going to wrestle hard, brother. You know what I'm saying? Like on some wrestling right before the match type stuff. I mean, like these are characters. These are characters. And these are bad characters at that, because they couldn't even get the A team to roll out. Let's continue.
Said that the evidence is that there was no attack. What exactly?
I didn't hear that. I'm a criminal defense attorney. Many clients.
So you should understand due process and evidence, and the need for, if you don't have evidence, if evidence is botched, you're innocent until proven guilty. That's the only way justice works. It doesn't work any other way. You can't have retribution and have justice at the same time. That's not how it works. It's justice by the justice. Working on that Southern Baptist voice. Don't make me get to start hooping up in here. Hey, your boy. Hey, don't get it twisted. All right, let's get back to Malik.
That I've had, the cases have been dropped against him, but I can't say that nothing went wrong.
It's this deadpan thing that he does that I can't say nothing that went wrong. We've been oppressed in this land for 400 plus years, since 1619. You see what I'm saying? So if I talk like this, you had to take me serious. And we're not going to take these Duke players and not be light on them any kind of way. We'll be here until the checks are cleared. Excuse me, until justice is solved. Thank you very much.
What I hear is political pressure that a powerful white university with powerful rich white defendants against a poor black woman, but Nifong didn't interview the witness and charge the case properly. Nifong didn't.
Nifong, aka Nifong, had the most to gain out of her being a credible witness. This could have made his career. If he took down Duke, if this was any, this is what we build, governors off of. If this would have been true, and you can get the black vote behind you in all of North Carolina, that's governorship written all over it. So he the one that had the most to gain out of this. So let's continue.
Give exculpatory evidence to the defense. It is Nifong who botched this case. And all women who...
I think he's saying Nifong to troll her because he heard her say Nifong like 3 times, but he's still trolling her. Or is it a deception move?
Will bring sexual assault charges.
Thank you, Riley. Thank you, Pelzer. Riley Pelzer. Great comment. This dude is on Fox to scare old white people. That's his whole point. They put the new Black Panther Party, which we know what that invokes, what fear that invokes, and we get the brother to start talking like this, and married sound militant, super militant, but ain't really saying nothing, and that kind of thing. Thank you, Riley. Let's continue on with Nifong.
In the future are adversely affected by this. So the accuser is a victim here as well. No, I do not apologize. Duke University has said that this lacrosse team has been engaging in rowdy, drunken, and lewd behavior, and several of these defendants who were let off.
Duke been, all colleges, all universities have been into drinking and drunk. Come on. Is that the standard? Like I said, don't make me take up for Duke. That's not what I'm trying to do here. But if your case is that college players get wild and drunk, you can put that on any. You can go right over to UNCCU, North Carolina Central, and find that A&T. Come on, don't do that. Because what it does is it waters down the case. People like this is very dangerous in the sense of they water down. And they're hired by Fox. Fox cut him a check to come up here, as somebody pointed out, with the Muslim name. No disrespect to the Muslims, but like I said, the scary white folks. Malik Shabazz. That just sounds like trouble to certain white folks. Thank you, William. To scare Whitey. That's the whole point. Y'all understand what I'm saying. But that's the whole point. That's where he's coming from. What mind state he's coming from to scare them. Right, and to discredit, any legit movements. The general counsel of the new Black Panther Party. Come on. Let's continue on.
Yesterday have already been convicted of criminal charges of other nature. So no,
Mr. Shabazz,
I do not apologize.
Shabazz, you and your so-called party, how many members do you have? 15, have made a career out of
15 members. You're the general counsel of 15 members. But like I said, he's given a platform as big as Fox News to make anything that would be possibly taken seriously to seem fraudulent. Or to seem not on the up and up. 15 members. This kind of sounds like, Black Lives Matter in a way. This was Black Lives Matter 1.0. But they had to shake that, and then they were like, okay, we're going to roll it something different. Let's continue on.
Racial demagoguery.
Let me say this. I would much rather be a member.
Can I ask a question first,
Go right
sir?
ahead.
Can I say my lines first, sir?
And last May, one of your members said to Reed Seligman, one of the Duke lacrosse players, quote, that he was a dead man walking. You're not going to apologize for that?
First of all, I can't confirm that's true. Will you apologize for being a political prostitute for Bill O'Reilly, a white male chauvinist racist, as
You're
a woman of color?
You want to call me a whore on national TV?
Yes,
there's only one whore on this split screen, and it's you, Mr.
Whoa, whoa, sparks flying. Sparks flying. Let's take that back. Let's take it back. See, this is why y'all gotta come to the lost tapes. Hey, look, this is why y'all gotta come to the lost tapes. There's certain things we can go a little longer on and get the whole joint. He called her a media whore. Is that what he not did? Yeah, she got mad. I think it's saying like the trolling went too far. Let's go ahead and listen to that one more time.
I ask a question first,
Go right
sir.
ahead.
And last May, one of your members said to Reed Seligman, one of the Duke lacrosse players, quote, that he was a dead man walking. You're not going to apologize for that?
First of all, I can't confirm that's true. Will you apologize for being a political prostitute for Bill O'Reilly, a white male chauvinist racist, as a woman of color?
You want to call me a whore on national TV?
Yes,
there's only one whore on this split screen, and it's you, Mr. Shabazz.
A woman of color.
No, both of y'all are turning political tricks. Let's stop it. But she mad. He called her a political prostitute. She's seething. Let's see what talking about. She said, dude, that young Michelle Malkin, Fox would drag her out to take down the big men. Right, and it's funny now, this is how they use black women on MSNBC. The black political pundits. They come out, like we've seen that with the Bill Cosby case. They don't want to have a straight attack, so then they bring out somebody. And yeah, she hot. She heated right now. He called her a political prostitute. But see, what she did was a nifty little trick there. Say, if you want to call me a whore, like she went to the harsher word whore to gain sympathy. Y'all pay attention to that trick that she just pulled there. Let's go ahead and get it in. Sparks is flying.
You should be ashamed of yourself for being a mouthpiece.
You should be ashamed of yourself for profiting off of your racial.
Malik knew he wasn't coming back. He like, man, them Fox checks gonna dry up. You know what I'm saying? I had plans for them checks. And y'all gonna end the case like this. This is my last day. I'm putting in my 2-week notice. You political prostitute. Yeah, that's what happened. But let's continue on.
This racist Bill O'Reilly. You should be ashamed of yourself for defending and being a spokesman for Bill O'Reilly, who has no respect for women.
O.J. Simpson, Mr. Shabazz?
You support?
She bam, boom, 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 boom. She pulled out the O.J. card. And for people that may not be born, understand the O.J. card. Like the O.J. card is like the little joker in the race deck. Maybe the two of spades, maybe not the little joker. You know what I'm saying? But it's like the two of spades in the race deck. And she laid it out there. She put her J's on the cut with that one. But she couldn't even get the line out. She flubbed it. She was so hot. She couldn't even get it out. You still support OJ? OJ? Yeah, get it out. Let's watch one more time. From the top.
Whore on national TV.
Yes,
there's only one whore on this split screen, and it's you, Mr.
As a
Shabazz.
woman of color, you should be ashamed of yourself for
you
being a mouthpiece.
You should be ashamed of yourself
for
profiting
male,
off of your racial poison.
Racist Bill O'Reilly.
So this is the same energy that they say, what they call it, adjacent to white supremacy. He hit her with that. All this stuff is old. It's the same talking points. They just repackage them in new language. But it's the same thing. He's saying she's adjacent to white supremacy, even though she's a woman of color. He basically called her like an Asian coon. I guess that's what you would call it. Yeah. So she thinking deep. She's like, okay, it's time to put on my J's and cut. And she hit him with the OJ.
You should be ashamed of yourself for defending and being a spokesman for Bill O'Reilly, who has no respect for women.
You still supporting O.J. Simpson, Mr. Shabazz?
Look at the pleasure in her eyes when she got that line out. Like, yeah, gotcha. I got you now. Let's see how he takes that.
Do you support the acquittal?
Are you?
Do you stand by, or does Bill O'Reilly apologize when a jury
You want to say
verdict?
some of your anti-Semitic propaganda that you've...
Boom! She hit him with the little joker. She hit him with the little joker. She went to anti-Semitism. See, and this is how these people are safe. They have their own control, built-in controls. He gets too out of line. She can pull out the OJ. Even though OJ innocence, I don't know what she means by that. In the court of law, the same court of law, the cross team members with case was thrown out. So that's why I said justice ain't even justice. This is bull crap. Cause it's amazing how they want to use the law to uphold to get the Duke players off, but then also throw OJ under the bus at the same time. But then when that doesn't work, he got to top her. She got to hit him with the anti-Semitic. One more time.
Made your whole career off?
What is your point, man?
What is your point? Is that you're calling me?
Or does Bill O'Reilly apologize when a jury
You want to say
verdict?
some of your anti-Semitic propaganda that you've made your whole career off?
What is your point, man?
What is your point? Is that you're calling me a political prostitute when that's your
For
whole
Bill
entire
O'Reilly.
life, and you will not apologize.
He's technically a grifter, but I mean, tomato, tomato.
To these young men who have been exonerated. When was the last time you talked to the accuser in this case?
I have. That's.
What? I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. But that mother face, she asked, what did you see his face when he asked that question? He was like, what had happened was, what happened was. I can't make it off this clip. It's gonna be, what we in, like 15 minutes on this clip? I didn't mean to be here this long. I'm sorry, but it's just a hilarious back and forth between these two. Yeah, he hit him with the what had happened. He hit him with the, what had happened was a person, it would be him. Let's see that one more time. She dug deep for that one. She's like, okay, let's go. We playing hardball, and I gotta give it to her. She can give it like she can take it. Yeah, she did the little hair roll with it too. Yep, Tiger Auntie. She got him. One more time.
Apologize to these young men who have been exonerated. When was the last time you talked to the accuser in this case?
I have.
What? I plead the fifth. Look at that face. He was like, huh? That's not in the script. Let me read my lines. That's not part of the script. She foul ref. She going off course.
Exonerated. When was the last time you talked to the accuser in this case?
I have. That's between me and that family. But there's sources.
Are you still
in the
providing
district
security
attorneys.
and protection for this woman? For this woman who's been completely debunked and exposed?
This woman is a victim, and like many other women who will now be in fear, and you should sympathize with them.
She's definitely a victim. Now, I got to agree with him on that. She's definitely a victim. She's a victim, definitely a knife on. As I said, if the case, according to all the facts I could review, there was no evidence there to be had. It was drawn out for political purposes, clearly, even to Mike Knifeon's admission that he had some under the board due dealings. So she's a victim of his, if nothing else. Let's go. Yeah, Miguel, you saw that face, bro. That face, yeah.
Who are afraid to go forth with serious charges because of prosecutors like Knifeon.
Thank you. His eyes said, oh-ish. Thank you, Miguel. Was it that his eyes said that because she asked him a question that he didn't know she already knew? That they had been watching him and watching with his dealings and know who he talking about? He's trying to feel like, hold on. How do you know that? Like that was that look. So it seems like it's like maybe Fox had some more intel than he knew that they had. Let's continue on.
Nifong, whatever it is.
You've done treacherous harm not only to your own community, Mr. Shabazz, but to every...
Malik pager, Boule pager going off. Like, get off the TV now. Abort, get off. They know about the bodyguards. You know what I'm saying? Like, his daggone Boule pager went off. Y'all listen to it one more time. He like, we got to roll. I know some of the Zoomers like, pager? What the hell's a pager? All right, let's go. yeah, Rob. 911, star 69. You know what I'm saying? They got all the codes in there. Thank you. Also, okay, I'm not the only boomer-ish. Yeah, code. Y'all know what time it is. That pager went off, boy. He was like, I got to get out of here.
Go forth with serious charges because of prosecutors like Nifong, whatever it is.
You've done treacherous harm not only to your own community, Mr. Shabazz, but to every true and bona fide rape victim in this country.
I am a defender of women, of black women, and I will not apologize until white America does justice for the many black women who have been raped by slave traders. And you should apologize for being a mouthpiece for a white male chauvinist racist like Riley.
Goodbye. Plenty more ahead as the Factor moves along this evening.
I'm sure Malik was never brought back on the show ever again. I'm pretty sure of that. But no Nextel chirp. Now he had his Nextel turned off. They had to hit his pager. 911. All right, so now we got to get into where we at. Y'all got me all off track. I'm just flustered. Daggone, they don't put the kibosh on my on the Fatal Attraction clips. You know what? They didn't bother me till I start talking junk about how terrible it is, and then they shut me off. Y'all saw that work. Let's see what we're gonna jump to. Okay, now we got to go into the Duke 80. No. Let's go into the. This is after the fact. I want to show y'all watch how the media changed their tone. Listen to the tone of CBS. And I think it's Katie Couric, if I'm not mistaken.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to First Look. We're in Raleigh, North Carolina for tonight's broadcast because the Attorney General is expected to announce today that he's dropping all remaining charges against the...
Listen to her tone. Like, I don't want to have any trouble with you all. I'm sorry to the Duke families, and I don't want any smoke. I don't want to have any smoke voice, and I don't want to piss off anybody on the other side either. So I'm going to talk like this. Pay attention.
3 former Duke lacrosse players. We're here because this is a story that really is about so many important issues in our society today. It's about race, it's about class, it's about the criminal justice system, and we thought it was an important opportunity for us to give more perspective and a really thorough look at...
A really thorough look, huh? Interesting. A really thorough look. Now you all of a sudden want to be thorough. Told you, when Duke made that call, and see, we get caught up in the new money, and that's one of the points I want to make with this show is we get caught up with the new money and the big tech and Google. Bruh, if you were making millions of dollars back in the late 18, early 1900s, your money's so strong right now that they can't even count it. That's why I want people to understand. We get caught up in the money that you can count. There's money out here that we can't even count. We don't know where it's going, who's moving it, what. But it's just a couple phone calls and a signature. And they could put that pressure on you for real. Yeah, and Katie Couric was Epstein's friend, according to Judy S. And hell, who wasn't on the Lolita Express? Damn, Crystal Mangum might have been on there. Who knows? Maybe Malik Shabazz. By the time there's so many people named on that roster, it don't make no sense. But I digress. Let's get back to Katie Couric and trying to smooth things over with their listeners that may be pro-Duke.
What happened here, what transpired, and why, and really to catch up with some of the key players in this whole saga. So tonight...
Let me rewind something right quick. I want y'all to take a look at Mike Nifong. 1 second. Where we at? Does it seem like a man that would single-handedly take on one of the biggest powers in the Carolinas, not even North Carolina, in the Carolinas, maybe in the South. Does this look like the kind of man that drinks from a plastic cup and wears a name badge that would take on a stronghold of white supremacy such as the Duke family? And not saying the Dukes, current Dukes, but I'm just saying, did this look like a man that would take that on by himself? Do you see this haircut? Does this seem like a man that will take on that venture by himself? You have to ask yourself that. I'm just saying, look at him. Look at him as he walks across this street and said, does this look like a man that woke up and said, you know what? I'm going to take on all of Duke and what comes with it for the sake of, doing the right thing. No. I'm not placing my money on that bet. But let's continue.
Happened here? What
Look at him. This is who we send in the battle with Duke. No. Duke power. I mean, they call it Duke energy now, but Duke power. This is your guy that's going to take on Duke power. Seriously. Watch how he scuttles across this street. This is your guy.
Transpired and why, and really.
Did he have a fanny pack on? Is that a fanny pack? Oh, hell no. This is y'all guy. He got a fanny pack on. Let's continue.
And really to catch up with some of the key players in this whole saga. So tonight, Bob Orr is going to take us back and really give us a...
Judy, you crazy. I'm my Sonic apron. He got tucked in. Come on, Katie, get to it. You dragging me out.
History of this case. Kelly Wallace is going to talk about the impact this is...
Oh, it was a natural disaster. And I can't take no more. Katie. I just can't do it. I'm sorry. Y'all forgive me. It was not only a natural disaster, and I'm glad. Thank you for that perfect segue. Who set me up like that? Eric P. Thank you for the segue. Well, I'm trying to tell you, this is synergy here, folks. This was a social disaster. According to the group of 88 members, look back, and this is from the Chronicle, the Duke student newspaper. It says here, what does a social disaster look like? This was the provocative question raised by an advertisement published in the Chronicle, April 6, 2006. The ad came 3 weeks after the lacrosse party where 3 players, David Evans, Colin Faraday, and Reed Silgman, were falsely accused of raping stripper Crystal Mangum. And notice, once again, stripper, not former sailor, not college graduate, not accuser, none of that, stripper. They keep referring to her as a stripper. And to the young women out there listening, this is how it goes. You can say you don't want to be identified by, a single one of your professions, but you see how the media does it. They will use this against you. You can see it right there. Stripper. It was published and signed by 88 faculty members and featured quotes, all anonymous, from Duke students expressing concern with issues involving sexual assault and race on campus. And then it says at the bottom here, former Duke lecturer Christy Buell said that the ad was not meant as a response to the allegation against the lacrosse player, which I call BS on. And according to we had to go back in time, get in our time machine, and go back to the times of 2006. And this is the group of 88. Once again, Fox trolling.
Riley Factor?
Identity leave on property.
The Factor confronts former Duke prosecutor Mike Nifong.
Boy, they pulling up the doorsteps. Nah, that was in the back, Choke. That was in the back. He had a fanny pack on. Oh, Lord, fanny pack gate. This is like the Obama picture gate. We spent too much time on that. But now they pulling up at the front door. Let's go.
And some of the Duke professors who condemn the lacrosse players.
I think this is inappropriate.
Of course, this was a very, very troubling time.
Michelle Malkin just back from Iraq. We will debrief her. And some people say it's okay for young girls to go wild.
No, it's not. Pay attention. That's why I pointed that out before. You see how they stage her as stripper. And when it suits the person, they're going to judge you and frame you in your what considered to be your worst light. When it's saying, I just left that clip part in there just so. All right, let's go. Oh, I remember the blouse shirts with the braided belts. Extra long.
Caution. You are about to enter the no-spin zone. The factor begins right now. Hi, I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thank you for watching us tonight. Fairness and justice at Duke. That is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. Shortly after the 3 Duke lacrosse players were charged with rape last spring, 88 Duke professors signed an ad that said in part, quote, "This is a social disaster. No one is really talking about how to keep the young woman herself central to this conversation. Regardless of the results of the police investigation, what is apparent every day now is the anger and fear of many students who know themselves to be objects of racism and sexism."
Let me stop right there and go to someone's comment. Who said that? Somebody said, Eric P. He said, that's why this was a good episode. It showed all of the pieces already in place. The only missing social media. Exactly. This is when you had these cable news shows were at their utmost importance. Now, not so much. But they were the leading of the information. Now they're the lagging on the information. All right, so let's go.
Talk about a rush to judgment. There's now strong evidence the accuser in the case fabricated at least part of the story, and charges of racism and sexism could be completely bogus. So we called most of the professors who signed that ad, wanting to talk to them about it. No one would step up. They all ran away.
Okay, so here's the ad. I got a copy of the ad here. What does a social disaster sound like? And this is the ad they took out in the Chronicle, the Duke student newspaper. So just for reference, yeah. And hold on, y'all supposed to be reminding me. Y'all gotta remind me to drop the links. Here's the link to the misreading a social disaster. A group of 88 members look back. So I'm gonna drop that in the live chat. Sorry, I got discombobulated with the whole events of tonight, but there we go. And y'all remind me if y'all want the links. I have the links to all the articles. To Bill O'Reilly.
Waters went to them, beginning with Professor Ronan Plesser.
Do you feel bad about signing that statement that a lot of people think basically convicted those lacrosse players?
May I please say something? I think this is inappropriate.
I'm from Fox in New York. We just want to get your take on the statement that you signed. That a lot of people think basically convicted these players. I received your call,
and I was hoping that you would.
How early did they get there? I don't think they do this anymore, do they? Y'all let me know in the live chat. Do they pull up on people like this? Do they pull up on people like this anymore on Fox News? They pull up to the front door like, what's up? What's up, Ronan? What you got to say now? Trolling.
Interpret my lack of a response as, no, I'm not interested in an on-camera interview. Thank you.
Now that the case is kind of falling apart,
sir,
do you still think that you were totally right in signing that statement?
I'm not interested in being interviewed on camera. Excuse me.
Well, thank you, Professor Plesser, a man of courage. Then we went to see Professor Lee Baker.
This was...
Boy, Lee Baker, boy. Hold on. I want to get to one of Tiger Auntie's comments. She said, girls going wild to hot girl summer. It only take 10 years to change the culture, right? It seemed like the girls going wild clip was normal in a sad way. Like, that's normal now. You see that on regular TV. So excellent point. Or TikTok or whatever your platform of choice is. It's not even that wild compared to nowadays how wild it is. But let's get to Lee Baker.
It's a very, very troubling time for all of us. I think that you were totally
Lee
right.
didn't even have no answers. He was like that. Let's see. Let's one more time.
This was a very, very troubling time for all of us. We did not rush to judgment. We presumed innocent the whole time. I mean, I did.
Lee Baker looking like a la-lap pit bull out there, mug.
Well, the fact is that none of the 88 teachers who signed the original ad will apologize or even explain themselves, not one. The university itself has now invited the accused players back on campus, but these professors continue their irresponsible behavior. If I were those students, I wouldn't go back. While we were down in North Carolina, we did decide to drop in on DA Mike Nifong, now off the case. He wasn't happy to see us.
Can you tell me if you feel bad about prosecuting these players?
They out there, Mike Nifong out there in his house coat. He wasn't ready. And that's why I was saying about Malik Shabazz. They had to drop on some Shabazz, I believe, and that's why he had that stupid look on his face like, oh, crap. Y'all know my comings and goings. How long they been sitting on Nifong and Lee Baker and all these other people? That MSNBC thing, that wasn't on the MSNBC. These news media operate like clandestine intelligence agencies.
Will you come on the O'Reilly factor? I'm leaving. What do you feel about the Duke case now that it's falling apart?
I believe I've said on many occasions to anybody who asks, I spoke about the Duke case only in the court.
Mike fed up. Mike is fed up.
Room.
No, hopefully there will be no courtroom for Nifong to inhabit. Hopefully the North Carolina Attorney General will drop the case and Nifong will resign. Because that would be justice, and Duke needs all the justice it can get. And that's the memo. Now for the top story tonight. Exactly what's going on at Duke University. Joining us now from Raleigh, Stephen Miller, a columnist for the Duke Chronicle, a student newspaper. You have 88 professors, actually 87 of them. One didn't sign this, they put out another letter saying we're not going to apologize. And I'm just stunned. Not only will they apologize, but they run away. We even called professors who weren't on the list to try to get an idea of what was happening on campus. They won't talk. You, a student, pretty much the only person who'll talk to us. What's going on?
Well, you have a situation here where, like a lot of college campuses, you have this segment of professors that's very powerful. And
that's your boy that was down with Trump's team, Stephen Miller. This is when he still had hair. But yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, this goes to show you these people make their names as a Malik Shabazz fell off and was a sputtering star. The Stephen Miller was, Duke University senior. I think he was a leader of the Duke conservative student body, I believe it was called. He was the head of that. So this is how people make their names. Yeah, it's trippy. Yeah, that's trippy that he was. But this is how people make their names in these cases. Thanks, Deep.
Very, very far to the left. And for the first time, a lot of students, and in a way the American public at large, saw the depths and the ferocity of that radicalism. And for the professors, for the first time, they were confronted about the radicalism, and now they're all running for cover, because if you take a professor that signed that ridiculous ad and sat them down and gave them even the most mild interrogation, they would fall apart, and they would look like the baseless charges that they were. And so you have a situation where, on the one hand, they realize there's absolutely no foundation for anything they did, but on the other hand, they're not going to confront the flaws of their own radical and divisive ideology.
But what kind of message does this send students who might want to take their courses?
That we're radicals, we're radical communists that are partaking real or fake actions to push our narrative forward. That's what it tells them. And like I said, this is the first time they really reared their head up for a political stunt or a political stunt in the modern times. I say that we saw this happen in the civil rights era, but this was in the modern era. This is the first time they really got into the heart of a media storm. Yeah, he was ready. Yeah, D Snow, he was ready. I mean, like and it makes sense now to find out. I mean, I just recollecting that he was a Duke. He's the epitome of a Duke student. They have a certain snarkiness about them as well. You know, they're smart, but then they also have a snarkiness, and it plays out when in Cameron Indoor Stadium with some of their signs and chants and stuff. It's a different vibe than the traditional Ivy. It's hard to explain, but I mean, it makes sense that looking back, he'll be a Duke student.
I mean, they're obviously, I think, irresponsible, these people, but everybody makes mistakes. They might have acted emotionally.
Thank you, Tiger Auntie. Yes, and that's the point I was trying to make. Duke is the stronghold for the WASP, the white Anglo-Saxon Protestant male, and that being especially the northern, because a lot of the students come from the suburbs of New York, i.e., or even New Jersey. So they have a very strong WASP Methodist background. So yeah, I can see that happening. That's a great point you pointed out too. Thanks.
All I have to do is say, maybe it was a mistake. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have jumped off like that, and let's have a discussion about it. But they won't even do that.
Well, that's the truly depressing thing about this, is you could have had a situation where they might have said, all right, look, we rushed to judgment. We thought something happened. It looks like absolutely nothing happened now. We made a mistake. We shouldn't have done it. But instead, they're standing by their original statement, which speaks to the fact that for them, this was never about what happened to this particular woman according to her testimony, nor was it ever about these players. It was always for them about their political agenda.
So that's the point, and their political agenda, pushing the agenda forward. That's all. It doesn't matter about facts. It doesn't matter about who it hurts. None of that. It's about pushing the agenda forward, and that's the word I was looking for. D-Smoke, smug. They're very smug. And a great example of that is Christian Laettner, the epitome of a Duke athlete as far as how they're perceived. And just go back to that, the point I was trying to make before. These radicals, they gaslight. Them not acknowledging it is it's not a defect. It's a feature. As you saw at the bottom of this screen, it says former Duke lecturer Christy Buell said the ad was not meant as a response to the allegation against the Duke lacrosse player. That's clear case of gaslighting. Clear gaslighting. All right, so let's go.
The agenda has been from day one to make a big issue out of racism and gender and class warfare. If you look at the ad, 80% of the professors that signed it claim a specialty in either race, class, or gender. And they all clamored for wide, sweeping institutional reform that would give them more power and more initiatives and more money and all that sort of thing.
But why aren't the other professors on campus, and maybe the chancellor, speaking out and giving some kind of balance? Because right now what you have is a Columbia University situation. Duke is now being portrayed, and it may well be true, as a radical left university with no voices of moderation on a faculty.
It is at the point now where I think it would be very safe to say we are at a terrible dearth of intelligent, common sense, courageous voices on campus. But I think
and this is the tipping of the scales. This is the epitome of what I was trying to point out. This was the tipping of the scales. This is when the old guard left as far as the old traditional academia, and this is when the radicals that once took strong footholds in the 70s, 80s, this is their shining moment as taking over the academic apparatus. This is it. And you hear them admit, like, where's the sane teachers at? Where's the sane professors? Why are they not saying anything? Because this 88 members was just to let them know that we got power now. And this is who I believe, just speculation, but this is who I believe put the battery in Mike Nifong's back. Nifong is not that. He doesn't have those kind of aspirations. You could tell. But yeah, you know what I'm saying? So that's I think who gave him the courage, liquid courage to do what he did. That's just my opinion and pure speculation.
reason that people aren't speaking out comes down to one simple thing, and that's fear. If you look at President Broadhead, from day one, the man has been totally consumed by fear over his own radical faculty. I think you took a close look at what happened to Larry Summers at Harvard, whose radical faculty got rid of him, and he said, I'm not going to offend these people. So even
cancel canon, the cancel canon before the cancel canon was even thought of.
To this day, he refuses to condemn that original ad.
Yeah, Broadhead is a coward. We know that. He's been hiding in his office. And he even allowed a professor, Kim Curtis, to give one of the accused boys an F in a course. Kyle Dowd is subsequently sued, and the grade was upgraded to a D. Now, Dowd charges that the F was given to him just because he was one of the boys involved. Is that the common belief?
I have reviewed the text of the complaint, and I can say that it is an extremely valid complaint. The kid's mathematical grade was not an F, yet she gave him an F. Out of pure spite, she was one of the signatories of the ad. The family has spent thousands and thousands of dollars trying to correct their son's record. The university has refused to accommodate them.
Is this starting to sound familiar to y'all now? Just giving people grades? Not based off the number, but off of what they feel. This was equity. This was equity. This was the earliest. Like I said, it was all there for the scene, but nobody really paid attention.
Now there are tons of kids in this Professor Curtis's class right now that are learning from this irresponsible radical, and the university is doing nothing. We have a situation in America right now where our campuses are overrun with these dangerous radicals, and everybody in the administration is terrified of them. And in this case, for once, finally, the public is kind of coming together against them, but still, nothing seems to be changing. And as a student, I can tell you, we are really, really mad.
Well, are most students mad? Do you reflect most students there, you think?
I have never seen before on a campus this much commonality between a conservative like myself and the left on campus. I can go up to someone that I would ordinarily argue about everything in life, and they are with me on this issue. It has unified the students in a way I've never seen before.
You know what I'd like?
And we just
yeah, it was unifying them, because even so, if this was let to be carried out the way it was being carried out, and the narrative to be carried out the way, it would devalue their investment that they had invested in their future. So there's a shared interest there. As Neely Fuller says, what? White supremacy plays both sides. Two wings on the same bird. So they saw their, what we want to call it, their asset of a Duke education being devalued. They said, oh no, can't get with that. No, sir. And of course, with that being said, Nifon had to be the fall guy. Where we at? Let's go ahead and play this clip.
And moving out from there to the justice system in general.
Well, there you heard the chief of that panel investigating Mike Nifong saying the whole matter was a fiasco. And that's on the docket today in Kelly's court, which is back in session with 3 lawyers who are in good standing, unlike disbarred Duke prosecutor Mike Nifong. Nifong was, of course, stripped of his license to practice law on Saturday after a legal panel found him guilty of 27 ethics violations, all stemming from his handling of the Duke false rape case.
False. See how she stressed the word false?
The question now, should Nifong face criminal charges himself for his actions? Let's ask Fox News legal analyst Lise Wheel and defense attorney Mark Eiglarsh. Good morning. Okay, so, I mean, it was a stunning thing to watch over this weekend as the man's career fell apart as the final exoneration for these boys took place before all of our eyes. Lise, let me start with you. This man we're looking at now, Mike Nifong, wanted those 3 boys in jail for a minimum of 30 years. If he had gotten his way, they would have never hugged their parents again until they died. Is the loss of his law license enough punishment?
You know what, Megan? I don't think so. And you know that all along, until I learned that Nifong...
You hear how thick she laid it on? They would have never hugged their parents again until they were dead. See, they lay it on thick like that, like I said. And the point I'm trying to make is, if you're going to be that way on one side, be that way for the other side. Just be fair. However you call it, just be fair. But you never hear it called that way. If it's somebody they see as undesirable, they will never be that understanding if they were falsely accused.
had not turned over the DNA. I said, look, let's have the grand jury do their job. There's a buffer, all of those things. When I learned that he had not turned over the DNA to the grand jury, to the defense lawyers, I thought, that's it. It's over for him. And I think that he has such abused the system so terribly that, yes, we have to send a message and go after criminal charges for him. Obstruction of justice, if nothing else.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm all for it. But that goes back to what Crystal was saying about the DNA. If he never turned it over, how could it be matched? I'm just confused. And it's like that. This is where two things could be true. There could be something that happened that night to her, but according to the evidence, you can't get a clean conviction. If you can't get a clean conviction, you shouldn't want any conviction. That's the point of you prove innocent to proven guilty. It benefits all of us. In theory, of course, it doesn't always play out that way, but in theory, that's the way it should be.
Mark, how about it? I mean, the bar has done its part, saying you no longer get to be a lawyer because lawyers aren't allowed to do that kind of thing. But what about holding him accountable to the community, to the boys, for what he put them through?
If
the boys.
Anything good has come out of this, I finally agree with Lise on one of your topics. Yeah, forgive me for not celebrating his disbarment. To me, that's just a step in the right direction. He needs to feel a similar pain that these three boys suffered. And the only way that's going to happen is if he himself is stripped of his liberty and he faces jail time.
Lise, do you think it will actually happen? He goes before the judge who handled the underlying case this week, who has made clear he is none too happy with Mike Nifong. It was this judge that was lied to by Mike Nifong when he said, hey, DNA, I turned it all over. Well, now we know from this independent panel that was a lie.
Don't that sound very eerily reminiscent of the hidden tape in the Kyle Rittenhouse case? How the prosecutors didn't turn over the higher definition tape that we covered here on the last Lost Tapes, I believe it was, and how they played games with that. See, this is what I'm saying. I'm all for pointing out bad prosecution because that, in its case, they work for us. They work for us. Our tax dollars go to pay them, and we shouldn't have dirty wins. I don't care who gets mad about it, but I don't want any dirty wins. I don't care who it exonerates.
What do you think this judge will do? Will he hold him in criminal contempt and send him to jail?
Megan, I think so. I really do. It was such egregious violations here. This isn't just a little slip up of anything. It was a pattern of behavior. And I think this judge and other judges like him are going to say, look, we have to make an example. Prosecutors, as a prosecutor, former prosecutor I know, have so much power. We can ruin people's lives.
Now let's get to the esoteric for a minute. Look, is this the finger of Hippocrates? The silence. Now, hold on. Y'all gonna make me go there. Hold on. The shush that we see Rihanna and them have. Hold on. Is that what we're looking at here? Just asking. Let's continue on.
Indictment, and that's exactly what he did here. So I really do think he needs to be held accountable. And, Mark, I'm glad that you're coming to the right side here.
Mark, do you think that Judge Smith, who's going to handle this case, do you think that he will be persuaded at all, since Nifong's given up the job, well, he had to, basically, as DA, that he has lost his law license, he cried on the stand, he was publicly humiliated. Will that lead him to not pursue those criminal sanctions against him?
Boo-hoo, boo-hoo. No, that's not enough. Too little, too late. He had numerous opportunities to come forward and make the families feel.
Hold on, here we go. I want to share this with y'all right quick. Let's go back to Mike Nifong once right quick.
Step in the right.
And I said I'm not going to belabor this point. But I found that to be like just for my just for my esoteric people out here. You got the red, the blue, him in the middle, Hippocrates. If you can zoom it in, let me zoom it in. Is that what we're seeing here? I'm just asking. Because, I mean, it's gonna make sense in a minute. But as she said, there is a pattern to Mike Nifong. And as they started digging more into his cases, they found this.
Prosecutor who was disbarred for his role in the infamous Duke lacrosse case. Now he faces new trouble. Mike Nifong is expected to testify in a hearing for a man convicted in a brutal murder. It's a case Nifong prosecuted back in 1995. CBS North Carolina's David Hurst spoke with Nifong today and joins us live in Durham with what he had to say. David.
Yeah, Maggie, Nifong tells us he's expected to testify tomorrow. He'll be called to the stand to testify in the Daryl Howard hearing. Attorneys here at the courthouse tell us they're asking for a new trial, saying Nifong withheld evidence at the time. Mike Nifong did not say much as he exited a Durham courtroom today.
I really don't want to make any statements until after I testify, and I probably won't make any then. But there's no point in my making any statements at all today because I haven't testified. I won't testify before tomorrow.
But he'll be forced to answer questions Tuesday as he's expected to testify in a hearing for Daryl Howard. The hearing comes after a judge exonerated Howard's 1995 conviction in the killing of a Durham woman and her 13-year-old daughter. However, the conviction was reinstated by the state's Court of Appeals.
And this is why this is important to me. Yeah, they're not, Heritage. They're not our friends, but they damn sure are our employees, or should be. Let me stress that. Should be our employees. They work for us. Our tax dollars go pay them. And you shouldn't have people like this case where these people are being, railroaded with bad, with bad convictions. And for every one Duke lacrosse case, there's 100 of these cases where they played loose and fast with the facts to get convictions, because that's how DAs are judged, by their conviction rate. It's a percentage. It's a percentage. That's what it's all about. Their win rate, their successful convictions, and yeah, that's what's going on. So let's continue on with this clip.
Howard's attorneys who were with the Innocence Project now want a new trial, accusing Nifong of misconduct in the case.
Remember what Mr. Nifong said. There is a sexual assault. This man's innocent. That's why this DNA evidence is faithful. It would have created a reasonable doubt in the mind of any reasonable person that this man's guilty of anything having to do with these murders.
Howard's conviction came about a year before the Duke lacrosse case, in which Nifong was disbarred for how he handled the investigation. He also declined to address that case, saying he's only focused on his testimony on Tuesday.
Thank you. And thank you, Bandivi. He says Nifong had several irons in the fire that made him compromise his morals. Yes, he seems to be a compromised person, which if you're one of the radicals and you know he's compromised and you know he's had some, shady dealings, this is just solely how I would see how this possibly could play out. This is just me wargaming with you all. Mike's dirty. Oh, yeah? Mike's dirty? Yeah, Mike's dirty. Well, remember that Duke? Yeah, let's put some pressure on it. Just so we can get our message out here. To be a good black eye to the university and to the white male patriarchy. Let's just use Mike. Tell Mike, go all gas, no brakes, Mike. All gas, no brakes. Mike goes out. He puts the police apparatus into effect. And there you have it. Get the ball rolling. You get the ball rolling. It doesn't matter if they get a conviction or not. It's just like, okay, now we can get our letter off. We can establish our power, our foothold. And Mike's hanging in the wind. Oh, what about Mike? Mike's just a bigger tool as Krista Mangum. See how that works when they done with Mike? But Mike only had to go to jail for a day. Oh, and it gets right, man. And then plus, if it works out for him, he can further cover up his tracks. See what I'm saying? So I mean, it's a no lose for him to take this. And you got to ask yourself, like I said, does this look like the guy that wants to take on Duke? I mean, honest, look at him. And I'm not saying that as, what I'm saying is, you know how bold you got to be to take on a Duke University? This ain't your guy, especially being as dirty as he appears to be. No, this ain't your guy.
Somebody believes that I have relevant testimony to this, and I'm going to give it just like anybody else would. And I'll get on the stand, and I'll tell the truth, and people can make of it what they wish.
So, I mean, yeah. So, with that said, let's go ahead and get into this next clip. And as I start digging into Mike Nifong, there's some strange characters around him. One being, let's go ahead and get into this. All right, so we're here, and this is Durham in Wonderland. Let me go ahead and drop that link. Hold on. This is the blog post that was written about the Duke lacrosse case. Let me go ahead and drop that. All right, so it says here, it says Nifong's strange bedfellows. The critic of Mike Nifong, including me, have portrayed the Durham DA as using Duke's lacrosse case to deliberately stoke racial tensions. It is, after all, it's difficult to come up with an alternative explanation for Nifong denying knowledge for several days in March that Kim Roberts made the first 911 call, or his withholding information that his investigators had dismissed allegation that Duke alumni attempted to bribe the accusers. In both instances, the DA seemed intent on serving not as a minister of justice, but as a propagandist. This is their words. Eager to inflame sentiments in the African-American community against Duke students. Lie Stoppers has correctly termed this behavior Nifong's hoax within a hoax. Right? Boy, y'all don't miss nothing. I'll see we're gonna call that. Yeah, the bottom of the clip said 187 for the Daily Pit. Yeah, that's Bull City. But back to the story. Representing the far right is Nifong's Citizen Committee co-chair Victoria Peterson. When informed that Peterson had taken the initiative to inform the group, the DA replied, "I was very pleased. It made me feel good." Not too many DAs, of course, would be very pleased to have as their Citizens Committee co-chair someone who shared the platform with the leader of the new Black Panther Party. Let me say that again. Victoria Peterson has shared the platform with the leader of the new Black Panther Party, which both the Poverty Law Center, the SPLC, and the ALD, the Anti-Defamation League, have branded a hate group. So we got a far-right person piling up with, I assume who they talking about. I mean, just from this leadership, just say the Black Panther Party, but the leadership I think they're talking about is Malik Shabazz. But then again, Nifong has done many things that few people would expect of a DA. So I have footage here of Miss Victoria Peterson, the far right, not my words, the far right citizen that supports Mike Nifong and is the committee co-chair. All right, let's get into that clip.
Very good. Julia Lewis is outside the courtroom right now. Julia joining us this afternoon again. And Julia, thanks for taking a couple of minutes here. I understand there was a little bit of a security issue that happened inside there about an hour ago. Can you explain that, Julia?
Yeah, we sure can. And if I could have my photographer, Pete James, sort of pan over this way and he can show you. The woman they had to kick out of the courthouse was Victoria Peterson. She's standing right there in the floral sweater set. They apparently said that she had been talking loud, and Marielle Infinity, Colin Infinity's mother, felt threatened for some reason, and so they asked her to leave the courtroom and the courthouse.
Oh, Victoria Peterson said, "Oh, you want me on camera?" Victoria pulled up ASAP. She pulled up ASAP. Look how she went from the far left, far right. Let's see how smooth Victoria Peterson crept up on her. Now she's over here to the far right, and she smooth end up on the left of her in a matter of about 5 to 7 steps. Let's go.
Floral sweater set. They apparently said that she had been talking loud, and Muriel Infinity, Colin Infinity's mother, felt threatened for some reason, and so they asked her to leave the courtroom and the courthouse. So that was the situation. They said they wrapped it up quickly. And
look how Victoria looking. Look how Victoria looking at her, and she nervous. She's shaking like a leaf on a tree, boy. She like, I didn't want. Yeah, you want the cameraman to pan, huh? Okay. Victoria said, you want it, I'm going to give it to you.
they got back to the testimony.
That is not true. I was not.
Woo! Look how she jumped. Boy, she was shook. She went ready for her to talk. Let's go. Let's one more time.
And they got back to the testimony.
That is not true. I was not talking loud in the courtroom. I wasn't even up in the courtroom. I was downstairs in the lobby. And I'm tired of the media trying to portray me in a negative way. But it's not true what you said, sister.
Once again. Thank you, D Snow. Thank you. Pay attention to everything, and Victoria won't be able to sneak up on you. Right? She was shook. She was shook, Daddy. Let's go.
I'm telling you what the committee said. Thank you, Victoria. We're on a live broadcast.
But can I say my...
And he's like, what in the hell is going on here? Yeah, she had that old crap. Like, is this lady about to smack fire for me? I don't know what's about to go on. But once again, the media is at the center of this story. And look how he looking. He like, what in the hell is going on out here? This wasn't in the plans.
That is Victoria Peterson, who was telling her side of that story. We broke away from that only because we've not had a chance to qualify and authenticate both what was said happened inside the courtroom and what Miss Peterson was saying. So I feel that Julia will be looking to get more information from her. And now, Dan Boyce, you've just seen something you've probably not seen a lot of in local TV. A live broadcast and someone comes up and just wants to plead their case.
Yeah. Well, y'all brought her into it. Victoria was standing on the corner, minding her own business, and y'all want to pan over, you know what I'm saying, and put her in the camera. She said, oh, y'all want me on camera? No, y'all ain't going to just get me on camera and not be heard. No. Right, Eric P., she can't qualify her own story. That's bullcrap. They didn't need no qualifications when they was hearing the media side of the story and delivering that side. All of a sudden, you need a qualification. No, it don't work like that. Y'all asked for her to roll up. She pulled up.
You've probably not seen a lot of in local TV. A live broadcast and someone comes up and just wants to plead their case.
Yeah. And that oftentimes that happens in the courtroom. You have people who want to express their feelings about a case, but you have to maintain a certain amount of dignity and decorum in these types of proceedings.
All right, so now we got to get back to the murder. You know, we had to go back through. We heard her claim of her being her being mishandled, that kind of thing. In the Duke lacrosse case, you know, her being set up to fail by the cops and the media and the DA. But she had another startling, and I want to play some more clips from, man, they really threw me a monkey wrench tonight, but we made them up. We made the best of it. I really want to play some more clips from it, but I don't want to get caught up. Let's see. All right, so I'll do it like this. So this is the clip that stopped everything right here. This is the one. This is the second part of her jailhouse interview when she starts to speak on the death of Reginald Day. Let's remind people one more time for the people just showing up. Let's go back. Where we at? Number 2. All right, here. Duke lacrosse. This is from Bleacher Report. Crystal Mangum indicted first-degree murder. Mangum has been jailed since April 3rd. She was initially charged with, let me read from my bigger screen. She was initially charged with assault with a deadly weapon by stabbing of 46-year-old Reginald Day. He died after nearly 2 weeks at the hospital, Duke Hospital. Let's go back one more time. Mangum has been jailed since April 3rd. She was initially charged with assault with a deadly weapon and the stabbing of 46-year-old Reginald Day. He died after nearly 2 weeks at the hospital. He pulled a Tupac. They thought he was going to pull through, and then all of a sudden they just announced him dead. It says Mangum was falsely accused. Okay, let's not get back into that. So 2 weeks he spends in Duke Hospital, and he ends up dead, and this is what she has to say about it.
I really struggle with understanding how people can be so evil and just so cruel, and it's ironic because a lot of people say that I'm a liar, and I struggle to understand how people can so viciously say these cruel and untrue things about me. So it's really the reverse. You know, it's true. Like, they're lying on me and not me lying about them. So it's, and then when rich people are guilty, they get exonerated. But me, I'm innocent for defending myself against a man who tried to kill me now, and I'm sitting in prison, and I'm innocent.
Okay, so let's talk about that. So after the Duke lacrosse incident, you had a boyfriend or something like that. What happened?
Yeah, there's a movie that's supposed to be coming out. So
y'all pay attention to what she about to say. Put your good listening ears on. Turn up your ear and hearing aids. Put a fresh battery in. Listen to what she about to say about the case of the Reginald Day.
Yeah, there's a movie that's supposed to be coming out soon. This guy named Joe in Hollywood's working on a movie about a conspiracy where he thinks that Duke actually killed my boyfriend to frame me, to basically seal the deals, to prove that, to basically bolster their name, to prove that I'm a bad person. But yeah, so
did y'all hear what she just said? She said there's a conspiracy. There's a conspiracy. And, you know, we pay attention to conspiracy. What we do, we analyze conspiracies over here. I don't create them. We analyze them. She said there's a conspiracy of a guy doing a movie of Duke Hospital, Duke University, Duke as the family, killing the man so they can wrap her up and say, see, we told you she was crazy. Now, that man was in the hospital for 2 weeks before he passes. Some people, what y'all think? What do y'all think? Some people saying shameless movie plug. Some people say she always thinks she's innocent. Plug the movie. We got 2 plug the movies. But I found this to be interesting of her saying that they killed him. Now, we got to keep in mind, Shady Grady in Atlanta, Johns Hopkins in Baltimore. We've seen these hospitals have mispractice. Now, listen to how she said he died. Now, I remember she studied to be a nurse, so, I mean, she does have some information to add. She's not speaking from a place of just being completely ignorant. But let's hear it one more time in full context. I'm going to play it through one more time.
Boyfriend to frame me, to basically seal the deals, to prove that, to basically bolster their name to prove that I'm a bad person. But yeah, so he was beating on me basically, and I stabbed him. He was going through alcohol withdrawal while in the hospital recovering from the stab wound. Okay, so the stab wound didn't injure any organs. They said it nicked his spleen.
The stab wound didn't harm any organs, and it nicked his spleen. And even from I have to relay, from the fatal attraction, it looked like he was going to make a full recovery. Then he ends up dead out of the blue, unexpectedly. Just got to relay. I wish I could play it, but you know what I'm saying? They play it hating on me. So this is what was thought to happen. D. Snow says, it's interesting. Could be they whacked him. Could be she made the conspiracy up to try to see they're out to get me. Right. Van Deviant says, I live 15 minutes from Grady here in Atlanta. They do a lot of good, but accidents do happen. And like I said, I'm not saying that it's a conspiracy to kill him. Maybe it was malfeasance on Duke's part. Like you're saying, accidents do happen. Who knows? But let's get what she says.
He repaired that with this thing called Surgicel. So basically he recovered from that. He was going through delirium tremens, and so Duke's staff put him to sleep, and they administered contrast down his throat, supposedly to try to check to see if he had an infection, because they said he was yelling and screaming incoherently, and they thought maybe he had an infection. They still don't have proof of exactly what he was saying or why they put him to sleep just because he was yelling. But anyway, they put him to sleep and put contrast down his throat. He choked on the contrast. Then they tried to revive him or resuscitate him, and they administered air into his stomach or his esophagus instead of his trachea.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
Into his esophagus, they cut off his air supply, and he died. When they put him to sleep and they administered the contrast, he choked and he stopped breathing. So once they cleared his airway, they put the breathing tube in his esophagus instead of his trachea. They said it was a mistake, and it was a fatal mistake.
And it was a fatal mistake. And he ended up dead. Like I said, I don't know. I just found this to be too interesting not to share with the Factz family this angle of it. This is what we do. We pay attention to everything, right? And for her to have that, yeah, that's 60 seconds. It felt like the show about to cut off, don't it? Yeah, that's crazy how that 60 seconds hit in, boy. It's like it's a rude awakening, but yeah, so it's just, I found it interesting that she would have that. She even said it herself. It's a conspiracy and a movie to come out. So who knows? I would love to talk to her or anybody involved in this case, because my interest is re-peaked in this. But she ended up being convicted, and I have her day in court here. Let's watch as she is sentenced, found guilty and sentenced for the crime of his murder.
Has informed me that the jury has indicated that you've reached a unanimous verdict in this case. Would your foreperson please stand for me? Yes, ma'am. Juror number 6.
Hold on. Thank you, Eric. That's what got me. It sounded too specific of an explanation to be made up. Where did she get her information from? Like I said, either she's the coldest killer ever or one of the most sympathetic figures ever. And I don't know what box to put her in, to be honest with you. I've listened to these clips over and over again, and I'm on the fence of which way did it go? And that's a good question. Did his family suit up against the hospital. And I'm going to tell you just like this from personal experience. I've had people be put in induced comas for various health reasons, and they come back and be like, hey, I think we need to pull the plug. And these are the death panel is working. They look at the person's age, they look at the person's health, and they come to you like, hey, I think we need to pull the plug. And they actually put pressure on you to pull the plug. Maybe they pulled the plug too early on. Who knows? But I'm just saying, for somebody to be in the hospital for 2 weeks and then die, I mean, we all die. I mean, that's not the point I'm trying to make. When it's our time to go, I'm a firm believer it's our time to go. But it's just strange. And that's why I said it's like the Tupac effect, because once Tupac made it through the shooting, it was always this feeling that he was going to pull through. Sarah, that's a good point. Sarah Sonnet said, y'all never talk to women in jail. They all got some specific reason why they're there. Right, and that's another good point. You have a lot of time to get your story straight. But I just found that to be interesting. And interesting enough to pause the show to tonight. That way we could look at it, you're saying, as the Factz family. I always want to give y'all the most everything. So you can pay attention to everything. All the information I'm privy to. I couldn't, with good heart, come on this show after hearing that and not share it with you all. So it had to be clipped and edited and all that stuff to present. So with that said, let's go ahead and get into her being sentenced and her being sentenced and her convicted and sentenced. Excuse me.
This is a yes or no question, ma'am. Is it correct that the jury has reached a unanimous verdict in this case on each count?
Yes.
And have you signed and dated the verdict sheets?
Yes.
Let me stop right there. And this is exactly what I'm talking about. Thank you, D. Snow. He says, she's charged with the murder, but his death may have been a medical mistake. So she put him there, but he made it 2 weeks, then died during this procedure. Kind of sounds like the felony murder law. And if we're keeping it consistent, we've seen the felony murder law. You know, I was saying that should have been the case in the George Floyd situation, because we say if any criminal act results in a death, then you're charged with that murder. So under this, she still can't be exonerated or anything like that. This doesn't change the outcome because her initial actions put him in that hospital bed for the potential and alleged. Let me clear that up because I don't want Duke, to come after me. But the potential and alleged medical mistake to happen. So this doesn't absolve her anything, but I just found it interesting that, I found an interesting wrinkle to the story. But let's go look at her being sentenced.
All right, thank you. If you would hand the entire packet to the bailiff, you may have a seat. Thank you, ma'am. Madam Clerk, would you announce the verdict?
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you have returned with the following verdict. State of North Carolina versus Crystal Gail Mangum, file number 11 CRS 2608. We, the 12 members of the jury, unanimously find the defendant to be not guilty of lawfully chosen action, $400 cashier's check.
It's like Maury when they were like, he told the truth. She like not innocent, not guilty. Whew. But this is on the little charges. You know what I'm saying? Like on Maury, you know how they do on Maury. It's like, did he lie about going to his auntie's house? He told the truth. You know what I'm saying? And then they go to the next one. Did he lie about eating the mint chocolate chip ice cream? He told the truth. And they're like, whew, thank you. But then they drop the hammer on you. That's pretty much how this is going to be set up.
State of North Carolina versus Crystal Gail Mangum, file number 11 CRS 2609. We, the 12 members of the jury, unanimously find the defendant to be not guilty, larceny chosen in action, $300 cashier's check.
She's like, thank you, Jesus. I'll say, because D Snow said, it took me a minute, Mo, but you got me there. It took me a minute, but you got me there, Mo. This is a wild-ass set of events. It's a wild, and that's why I wanted to bring it to y'all, because it's just, revisiting it is a whole nother case than I remember. Yeah, Andrea, thank you. This is another great episode. Another great one, Mo. Never knew this woman went to jail for murder. Yes. And like I said, they threw her away. I mean, the media threw her away. It didn't matter. Let's get back to the Durham judicial system.
State of North Carolina versus Crystal Gail Mangum, file number 11 CRS 2607. We, the 12 members of the jury, unanimously find the defendant to be guilty of second-degree murder, signed November 22nd, 2013, by foreperson Therese Bryant. Is this your verdict? So say you all.
Yes. Look, no emotion. Stone cold. She took it like a Bull City OG. Second degree murder. She ain't even bat an eye. It's something very interesting about Miss Crystal Mangum. And somebody said this, they should appeal the case. No way, this is murder too. Hey, Rob, I'm just telling you, I'm just giving you the facts. And she took it like a stone cold OG. No tears, no nothing, no batting in the eye. She was like, okay, second degree murder. All right, I'll eat those.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, if this in fact is your unanimous verdict, so indicate by raising your hand so I can take a head count. Let the record reflect 12 jurors have raised their hands. Counsel, is there anything further that we require of the jury?
I was asking if we could poll the jury individually.
I request that you poll the jury, please. So, ladies and gentlemen, the clerk is going to ask each. Ms. Mangum, the jury has returned a verdict of second-degree murder in this offense to the murder of Reginald Day. I'm going to impose a judgment within the presumptive range. In this case, I'm ordering you incarcerated for a term of 170 months, minimum 216 months maximum.
170 months to 200, I think you said 16? Bruh, you having to get Mo out the floor right now. I'm going to let y'all know something right now. I ain't the jail kind of dude. They probably going to get me on the run. If I'm facing a serious case, they probably going to get me on the run. I'm just letting y'all know. I can't do 200 months. If I got to do that kind of long math, no, sir. They calculate no. It should be, no. But she's standing like an OG. No problems. Eat them 170 months to 200. I'll take those. Nothing. Snack. Let's go. Yeah, I'm trying. I ain't the jail type. I'm telling you. They're going to have to get me on the run.
The Department of Correction. Mangum, she's in custody.
We want to go ahead and enter notice of appeal and open court and request the appellate defender reappointment.
Notice of appeal has been given. The appellate defender is appointed to represent this matter in all circumstances. Thank you.
And she said it ain't nothing. She said it ain't nothing. And the thing was, now I got to fill y'all in on why they were fighting. And before we move on, she went to a party one night with Reginald Day, and she was getting too flirty with, it's a lot I got to fill y'all in on. She was getting too flirty at the party with some of his friends and family. So then they come home, and there was a cop, Durham PD, pull up, and she recognized him. She's like, oh, hey, how you doing? Da-da-da-da-da. And they already then got in an argument about her being too flirtatious at the party, and that's what sent it over the edge. He was like, get your crap and get out. And she locked herself in the bathroom. He kicked in the door, boom to boom. She got the blade. Was like, you ain't going nowhere. Ugh. Hit him. One time, he leaking. He go over to his nephew's house, and that was it. That was it. Over her being too flirtatious with men. One of them being a Durham Police Department officer. And there's one more fact I got to bring to the table. To say the cops might be in on setting her up just because we got to pay attention to everything. Let's go back. Hold on. I'm about to wrap it up. I'm about to get y'all out here. It was a little longer than expected because I had to, we had to battle with YouTube, but it is what it is. Let me go back here. 1 second. and the Crystal Mangum. Share screen. Stop sharing screen. Add. Hold on. Where we at? Share screen. Broad window. Okay. Crystal was a wild girl. Is a wild girl. She's still living, so she might be reformed. She was also charged with attempted murder and murder charge. It said, this is Wiki. Let me share it. It said, just before midnight on February 17, 2010, Durham police were called to Mangum's residence by her 9-year-old daughter. They said that they had arrived and found Mangum and her live-in partner, Milton Walker, fighting. She reportedly set some of his clothing in a bathtub, set fire to some of his clothing in a bathtub in their presence. The building suffered heavy smoke damage. Excuse me. They arrested Mangum on charges of attempted murder and first-degree arson, the assault and battery, identity theft, communicating threats, damage to property, resisting the officer, and misdemeanor child abuse. So Sheepman saying she was wild. Let's see. It was one more thing she did too. Hold on. Where was it at? She stole a cop car and tried to hit one of the cops with it. Hold on, let me see. Mangum was released. Convicted, contributing to a minor injury of personal property and resistance public officer. The jury, the conviction. Here go this number again. Mangum was sentenced to 88 days in jail. I found that interesting number. Just on our numerology. Where was it at? Where was it at? Hold on, I gotta find it for y'all. Oh, no. Excuse me. This was before the Duke case. Okay, that's why I was thrown off. By 2002, Mangum had returned to Durham and was working as a dancer. She was arrested on 10 charges after stealing the taxi cab of a customer whom she had given a lap dance to, or her lap dance, quote unquote lap dance to. This prompted the police pursuit at speeds of up to 70 miles an hour, occasionally the wrong lane. After being stopped, Mangum nearly ran over a police officer, succeeding only in hitting his patrol vehicle. She was found to have a blood alcohol content twice over the legal limit. So this was 2012. This is before the Duke case. So she had a name with the police department off rip. Let me go ahead and paste that. You know what I'm saying? Let me go ahead and paste that in the link. By 2002. So she had a running history with DPD during the police department. So you think they wouldn't use her the way they used her? Yeah, okay. Let's see what Andrea says. She said, I have someone very dear to me that's in prison right now for self-defense, but was called second-degree murder. It is definitely about money you have, about the money you have and the attorneys that you afford. That's the whole justice system right there. It's about the resources. Yep. So yeah. So she in 2002, she had smashed into a cop car with a stolen taxi. So you know what I'm saying. Of course she. You know what I'm saying. When they pulled up with this murder scene. They said, oh, the Crystal Mangum. So the cops knew she was. And the funny thing was, man, I wish I could play that clip. And we're going to have to do a lost tape of the lost tapes. I'm going to have to go back, do just the audio, and we're going to have to review that, you know, saying at a later date. But I just found that interesting. And just so you don't think, we know we got to wrap up, this is the last clip for the night. Just in case y'all don't think that the Dukes would do anything to bend the justice system, let me introduce y'all to Doris Duke.
Blonde, beautiful, and rich. A tabloid staple. The mid-20th century wasn't the viral celebrity sex tape world we live in now, but the press was still incredibly invasive. So when news broke that Doris, this famous socialite from one of America's richest families, might have intentionally killed her best friend, the public geared up for the trial of the century. Justice would be swift for Doris, they thought, but they would be wrong.
Look at them eyes, boy. Them shark eyes.
First Duke car crash last year, a little over 5 decades since the incident occurred. I grew up in New Jersey, not far from one of Doris Duke's estates, so I was pretty familiar with her. Doris Duke is known for her philanthropy. She's given a lot of money away to charity, she has all these foundations in her name, but there's all this mystery around her. She was so much of a recluse, and she really liked her privacy, so people are always drawn to her and to know more because she was so tucked away from society. In a way, she was a reluctant public figure who did not like to be in the limelight, but again, she was drawn into the limelight because at the time she was one of the richest women in the world.
Newport was a summer playground for the wealthy. Duke loved the peace and privacy, and it wasn't surprising that she enjoyed Octobers there when the summer homes were left vacant as tourists returned to the city.
A real piece of work, Andre.
She lived somewhat anonymously, tucked away in her property as she liked. She spent years there before the accident, which wouldn't happen until she turned 53. She was settled down as much as a person of her celebrity could be.
Doris Duke and Eduardo Torella knew each other for a good decade. They were pretty close companions. They confided in each other. Eduardo Torella was a New Jersey native. He was famous in his own right. He was an interior designer as well as a movie set designer. Eduardo was also her artistic curator, and he helped design her homes on her many estates, so she trusted him and really sought his advice when designing her homes.
According to an article in Vanity Fair, Eduardo was planning to give his notice that he was going to cut personal and professional ties with Doris and head out west to California.
He thought he was going to dump her, but he had another thing coming for him.
He wanted to get his career in the film industry off the ground and felt that Duke was stifling it. If he was going to stay with her, he was never going to make it big. Eduardo told his partner, as well as friends and family, that he was going to cut ties with Doris Duke, and they warned him about this. They said it would anger her and that it wouldn't end well.
They tried to warn him. Old shark eyes over here, boy. She couldn't take rejection, allegedly.
But he wanted to tell her in person, and that's why he was with her the day the accident happened. That night, Doris wanted Eduardo to drive her to an appointment.
They got in the car, ready to go. Eduardo was in the driver's seat, but he had to get out to go open the gate to get onto Bellevue Avenue. So he put the car in park and he got out, and Doris slid over into the driver's seat. She claims that this car suddenly leapt forward, she doesn't know what happened, and at some point, Eduardo was pinned against the gate and the car crashed straight through the gate and into a tree on Bellevue Avenue. Doris was found in a fog wandering around. She was bleeding from head wounds and she didn't know what happened, and Eduardo was found under the back of the car crushed.
She ran him over, allegedly. Allegedly. Let me be clear. I don't want the Duke smoke. She allegedly ran him over with the car. Now, you're in the passenger seat. He goes to open the gate. You slide over to the driver's seat. You don't know what happened. The car lunges forward, and he ends up under the back of the car after being smashed against the gate. Does that make sense to y'all? But let's continue on.
He had died instantly.
Police did not question Duke for 2 days after the accident occurred.
They didn't question her for 2 days after the accident occurred. Now we're seeing real power. See, there's levels to this. If you got Duke student money, you get questioned, you know what I'm saying, without handcuffs, show up to the station the next day kind of treatment. When you got Duke owning Duke kind of money, or you talk to the cops 2 days later.
Why did officials wait 48 hours to question the only witness of Eduardo Torella's last moments? reporters were stationed around her gates, trying to get access to anyone who worked for her.
See how that works? The media know their place. Andrea, thank you. She said Eduardo sounds like Doris's boy or mentor that was breaking up with. That's exactly what it sounded. He was a kept man. And he said, you know what? I want to go out on my own, strike it on my own, and I'm going to tell it to her face. Okay? That didn't work out too well for Eduardo.
But it was under investigation, and the police weren't talking.
She got the police not talking. When we talk about Duke, this is what we talking about. And you think this kind of power that can shut down a whole the police department, not to talk as you run a man over and without any explanation, they don't talk to you for 2 days, can't get, you know what I'm saying, can't give your boy Reginald Day. What's your boy name in Washington, D.C.? That had the, I'm so embarrassed I forget his name. The one that had the Democratic Convention, the Democratic National Convention's server that ended up dead in D.C. What was the old boy name? Y'all dropping in the chat. What was his name? The one that set out the whole investigation with the WikiLeaks drops and all that. What was his name? But you think they can't give him that kind of treatment because he was the same kind of dude. He showed up at the hospital. They said the wounds wasn't that bad. Then he ended up dead. Thank you, Seth Rich. Thank y'all. Y'all think they can't give Reginald Day the Seth Rich treatment? Oops, my bad. Y'all think they can't give Reginald Day the Joan Rivers treatment? Oops, my bad. Y'all think that can't happen? Y'all think they won't leave this girl locked up? You know what I'm saying? And throw, I mean, not locked up and throw away the key, but to get her out of the picture, hey, so-and-so in room so-and-so, hey, oops, sorry. Especially if it was an accident, that's even more convenient. It's like, I mean, it just goes, I mean, it's just too convenient for me. Right, an unfortunate accident, natural causes. Thank you, Spencer. But let's continue on, listen to that Duke Power.
Even a little over a week after this incident occurred, she was donating money left and right. She gave $25,000 to restore historic Cliff Walk in Newport. Then soon after, she gave $10,000 to Newport Hospital, which is where she had been staying after the incident. And a few months later, following these donations, she had set up the Newport Restoration Fund, which was meant to restore 84 colonial-era buildings in Newport.
She was passing the cash around. And this is how blatant it used to be. Just throw the money around. Here you go. There you go. Shut up. You want some houses? You want this? You want that? Let me throw some cash around. Everybody shut up. Similar to how it was in the Kennedy case with Bobby Kennedy. So y'all think that all that can go on and they can't get Crystal Mangum up out of the paint? Let's go.
A lot of people believe she bought her way out of this, that she paid blood money to make this go under the rug and just forget about it, to get her out of the limelight and that pretend this never happened. A lot of the evidence seems like it was mislabeled or it just mysteriously vanished, even court cases, her statements. So it seems like whether there was a cover-up or the police didn't do their job, there was a lack of accountability at the time, and that's what makes it so much harder to dive into this case and find out what truly happened.
The official conclusion of the investigation was that Torella's death was not intentional. Rather, it was just an unfortunate accident.
There you go. Somebody just said it. Spencer, there you go. There you go, Spencer. Unfortunate accident. Ding, 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 ding. The winner is Spencer Peterson. Thank you for playing.
But the Torellas maintained that Doris Duke intentionally and deliberately ran over Eduardo. They filed a suit against her in 1967, seeking $1.25 million. For years, the case dragged on, and 5 years after the incident, Doris Duke was found guilty of negligence and ordered to pay the family $75,000.
The fact that Eduardo was...
For what? If she didn't do nothing wrong, why she gotta pay him? Y'all, this is Duke power. This is Duke power. See, if y'all don't think it could have went down the way she said it went down, like I said, I don't know if she's the stone coldest killer, probably, you know what I'm saying, somebody ever, or if she's the most sympathetic victim ever. I don't know what basket to put her in, but knowing how the Duke family had gotten down before with the Doris Duke case and how they paid off, you know what I'm saying, Eduardo's death, paid the cops off to look the other way. You think it can't go that way in 2006? Come on. Andre said she ran somebody over and then went to the hold on. She ran somebody over and then went to the hospital. Man, this is so unreal. I didn't even know about this just when you think you heard all. Exactly. You had to get all the facts to put it into context to say this gives credence to what some of the things that Crystal Mangum was saying. Now she was a whole piece of work. Don't get it twisted. She was a whole piece of work. But at the same time, if you're trying to push narratives, and she's the perfect tool to push a narrative as well. Let's go ahead and wrap up this last little bit of clip.
Such her close friend, why wouldn't she want to help them out and be there for them at this time? She caused the death of her friend. The story of the car crash incident pretty much was a bloodstain on Doris Duke's legacy. While she did a lot of great philanthropy and she donated a lot of money and she really did help people, this just couldn't go away. This was on her record forever.
You think that won't run you over? Look at that face. Look at that mug. That look like them little puppets. What them little women puppet things? What was that, like the Grand Ole Opry or something? It was one of them women puppet things. She looked like one of them. Woo. Good grief. I'm breaking up with you over the phone.
People couldn't stop talking about it. And while she was a recluse early on and into her later years especially, people were still curious what really did happen. Well, the only person who actually knows what happened is Doris Duke, and she took that secret right to her grave.
And ladies and gentlemen, that is the show for tonight. I appreciate y'all hanging in there. You two gave us some troubles. We had to make some detours, but of course we got to the end. And the end being, y'all let me know in the comments. Y'all go over to the comments. I'm going to play the outro song, but y'all, I want everybody here with me now to go over to the comments and just give me some feedback on what you think about Crystal Mangum. Do you think she's a sympathetic figure? Do you think that she was she's just a sociopath? Do you think somewhere in between? I just find it quite interesting. I appreciate everybody coming out. Theodora showed up late, but you can watch it on. We're glad you made it. Thank y'all for the compliments. This was my birthday show. And of course, just between me and y'all, this may be a setup for another hoax that we seen recently in the news. Just maybe. So it's important that we cover this one. It's always a method to the madness. Like I said, I appreciate everybody hanging in there tonight. You two threw us some curveballs. I couldn't get to all the clips I wanted to get, but I think we still had a great time and we still did justice to the Crystal Mangum story. I'm not going to call it the Duke lacrosse story anymore. This is the Crystal Mangum story, because if I'll promise you this, if I ever in the position to make a movie, I would definitely make a movie centered around something, of this case. Not particularly this case, but it's very entertaining. A lot of moving parts. And when you walk away from it, you just don't know how to take it. Thank you again. Thank you for all the birthday wishes. I'm glad everybody was saying could join me tonight. And with that said, as I always say, pay attention to everything and the truth will reveal itself. Y'all have a good night.
just